I might upon you, Jerusalem, stand and face Jerusalem. Blessing of the Sabbath. Yahweh. Barakatha Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Bethalanawa, Hashabath, Bashalawam, Thowada, Aman. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the Sabbath in peace. Thank you, so be it. The Ha'ayim Ma'ad Asherayim Akkad, Psalms 121. Anya Harayim Mayanyam Ya O Haharyam Mayan Yabu'a Isaiah Yabu'a Mayahawa Shai Shemayim Warataza La'a Yenathan Lamawat Regalia Yala'a Yanawam Shashamarka Hanan Yanawam Wala'a Yayashan Shashwama Yashrala Yahweh Shemaya Yahweh Tazaya Ayam Yam Yawamum Hashamash La'a Hakaya Wayara La'a Balayala Yahweh Yashamaya Makom Ra Yashamar Napasha Yahweh Yashamar Hawalakia Wabawaya Ma'ithai I Walam Bahasham Yahweh Thowada Aman.
Psalm 121. I will lift up my eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help coming from the Lord which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. Amen.
Amen. Shema Yasharella, Hear O Israel. Shema Yasharella, Yahweh, Allah Hayana, Yahweh, Shema Yasharella Yahweh Allah Hayanawa Yahweh Shema Yasharella Yahweh Allah Hayanawa Yahweh
Deuteronomy 6:4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. Amen.
Amen. Tapala Yahweh, the Lord's Prayer. Abba Yanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Hayah, Shamka, Yahweh, Malak with Ka, Taba'ah, Ratazawanka, Hayah, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Ka, Bashamayim, Methalanawa, Lakam, Yawum, Za, Wasalakwana, Kababathna, Kasalakna, Kababathna, Wala'a, Habayana, O, Nasayawan, Abo, Hawashina, Nora, Kaya, Laka, Amalakwa, Waha'ala, Wahatha Pa'ara, La'abulam, Aman.
Matthew 6:9. After this manner, therefore, pray, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen.
Amen. Ha'aishara Matazawaf, the 10 Commandments. La'a, Yahaya, Laka, Alahayim, Akarim, Alpanya, La'a, Ta'isha, Laka, Paso, Wala'a, Taibadam, La'a, Talakwaka, Shamwa, Yahweh, Alahayaka, Lashua, Zakar, Ath, Hayawam, Pashabath, Lakodashwa, Kabad, Abiaka, Wa Amaka, La'a, Tharatazak, La'a, Thana'ap, La'a, Thaganab, La'a, Thaina, Shakur, La'a, Thakamad, Ko, Ashara, Lara'ayaka, Aman.
Exodus 20:2. I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and holiday. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Amen.
Amen. Shabbat, be seated. Barakatha Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Nathalanawa, Par Yahagapin, Tawada Aman, La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Ath Yasha Allah. English translation. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the fruit of the vine. Thank you, so be it. To Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai with Israel. I mod upon you, all Jerusalem. Stand and face Jerusalem. Open in praise. Barakatha Yahweh, Hagadol, Rakawam, Abiyah, Wanara'ah, Aliyawan, Malat, Sho, Shemayim, Wa'aratazah, Wako, Dabayim, Kayayam, Wagam, Hamashiach, Mayahawa, Adawanawa, Ahabnawa, Hapalah, Yawa'itazah, Yahweh Shai. Zakar Nawa, Yahweh, Aratazawan, Ainka, Yasha'Allah, Izarna, Mana, Wa'asap, Yasha'Allah, O, Nanawa, Yum Yun, Aitha, Kayawumyam, Makwadam, Baba Kusha, Shalat, Mayaka'Allah, Watazwadat, Alahayim, La, Maganawa, Rapanawa, Bashamar, Alnawa, Baikor, Shalat, Araka, Sho, Yahweh Shai, Lanawa, Lalamadnawa, Rabim, Kakama, Thabawana, Wada'ith, Sho, Debarka. Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Thawada, Yad, Raiwalam, Amun. English translation. Blessed are you, Yahweh, the great, merciful, mighty, terrible, most high power, King of heaven and earth and all things living. And also the anointed from Yahweh, our Lord, our friend, the wonderful counselor, Yahweh Shai. Remember us, Yahweh, favorably, your people Israel. Help us build and gather Israel. Most High, we beg you, right now, like the days of old. Please send Michael and the righteous powers to protect us, heal us, and watch over us. Mainly send the spirit of Yahweh Shai to us to teach us much wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of thy word. In the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you always and forever. So be it. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives us the law. Barakatha Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Lethalanawa, Hathorah. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us light to see. Barakatha Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Lethalanawa, Awar, Lara'awah. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us the ram's horn to call the people. Barakatha Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Lethalanawa, Koran, Ha'ayol, Lakura, Ha'ain. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us the olive oil to anoint Israel. Barakatha Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Lethalanawa, Hasheman, Zayath, Lamashach, Yasha'Allah. Shabbat, be seated. Shalom, shalom, Ashar Shabbat, Yasha Allah. Happy Sabbath to the brothers and sisters on this glorious day. Again, Ashar Shabbat. I'll start off with all praise, honor, and glory goes to the Most High power for today's Sabbath, for our day of rest, by Hashem, Yahushua, Mashiach, by some glorious Son, the only begotten Son, Yahushua, known to the world as Jesus, or Jesus the Christ. So we give all praise, honor, glory, thanksgiving to the Most High for this day. Most High's will, everyone is in good spirits to come and break bread spiritually, to open up the Bible, to learn the Most High's precepts, and to fill ourselves with the joy of the Most High, which is His truth. So I'll give salutations to our Kanan, brother, listen with your mind, Akwath the warrior, Akwath Aliyah Aina, Akwath Ahawab, and Akwath Lab Tawab and Emma, Elders Aquamalak, Akwath Rabakwa Malaka, and Ak Ratazayan. Shalom Yashrala, as well as all the other brothers and sisters who is listening on the teleconference line, watching on the live stream, those who are going to join in a little bit later. All praise and honor and glory goes to the Most High on behalf of all of us. This is Hayashrala Kanaz. Most of us know in Hebrew, it's the congregation of Israel. And sometimes we go through these cycles where, people get on us about the Hebrew. I know just doing the prayers, when we set up the prayers in Hebrew, it's very spiritual. It's also self-fulfilling to, as we're in this truth, to be able to come back to our own customs and culture as well as our language, right? So sometimes people may want to criticize and nitpick on, certain things with the Hebrew and we shouldn't worry about it. But it is a beautiful thing when you are able to praise the Most High in our own native language. We understand that this we're speaking a bastard language. This is not our language, but it is the language that we are. The Lord prophesied in Isaiah 28:11 that we would speak or be taught in these various different tongues, languages, Spanish, French, English, so forth and so on. But when we come back to our native tongue, it's a beautiful thing. I recall that we used to do the Sabbath services, especially the Old Testament, New Testament. We would read it in Hebrew first, right? It's been a minute since we've done that, but we would go through the chapters, read it in Hebrew first, and then go and do the edification of the breakdowns. So when we say we're Hayash Rala Kanas, it was elders in the past where we say, we're gonna use our name in Hebrew as our name, and then just edify it. As you see behind me, you see Hayashal Kanas, and then there's the Congregation of Israel, the literal translation in English. And it's really something that we should take pride in, as being able to understand, our origins as well as our language. But as mentioned, the Congregation of Israel is specifically based upon what the Bible teaches us. The Most High had a chosen lineage, a chosen patriarchal royal lineage, starting with Adam through Abraham on down to Isaac and Jacob, which represents the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, right? And the Most High said that He was going to make that one people His chosen people, His peculiar people, right? It's different from all the rest, and that He was going to give us His truth, His laws, His statutes, the history of the world, the prophecies of the things to come, and then the things that we need to do in these last days, starting all the way back, from the beginning, but also more importantly in these last days, to get ourselves on a righteous path, which is the keeping of the laws, statutes, and commandments, right? Dietary laws, ceremonial laws, civil laws, moral laws. Sacrificial laws are once, you read that in the Bible, but due to our, over usage of the sacrifice, the Most High did away with that by sending His Son, Yahushua, to become the sacrificial lamb in human form for the nation of Israel, that He shed His blood for our sins, and it's through Him that we now come back to the Lord, that we adopt ourselves back to the Father, that we make supplications and do all different types of actions and deeds and labors to show the Most High that we love Him through our actions. right? Now, who was these people? As I always mentioned, I don't like to steal Elder's thunder. He has a nice slideshow that goes into the pictures and a little brief history about who these 12 tribes are, who this nation is, right? And in short, when you look at the history and the prophecies pertained in the Bible and how they line up, right? Those whose ancestors on their father's side, because the Most High determines or reckons your pedigree or your lineage or what people you are on your father's side, right? And it goes back at least 3 to 4 men, right? Meaning your father, your grandfather, your great-great-grandfather, so forth and so on. It can go back a certain lineage, 3 to 4 generations. Whoever they are, right? Whatever they were, that represents you as an individual because the seed comes through men, right? We always call out Numbers 118. That's a very pivotal verse throughout the Bible when you use that to be able to determine nationality. So those whose ancestors on their father's side, coming from them, that lineage of men, right, who now fits the description of those who were already the indigenous people throughout North, Central, and South America, as well as even Canada, right? We had some of our brothers that was up there in Canada, known as the natives, the native Indians, or the native Canadian Indians, right? I used to work with some guys from Canada, and they also understand, as Kahan Nabiyah telling me about First Nation. The first people that was there in that land was not the French, right? Was not those people who inhabit the land today. There was a First Nation of people, which is the indigenous so-called Indians, and that spread throughout North, Central, and South America, right? So now if your family's on your father's side, dating back, now have histories that tie into them, right? Then you would be a portion of the Lord's chosen people, right? You'll be known as the Northern Kingdom, right? Because the kingdom of the Lord was split in two at a certain point in history during the time of Solomon, right? With his son Rehoboam and then another man named Jeroboam, right? That Jeroboam was the leader or the king of the Northern Kingdom. Those descendants came over here fleeing from the Assyrian captivity and came to inhabit the lands over here throughout the Americas, including Canada. And then you have those who are part of the Southern Kingdom, right, whose ancestors came over on cargo slave ships through the diaspora, the transatlantic slave trade, the sub-Saharan slave trade, right, that was taken from the western portions of Africa, some in other areas with Africa, because all Israel, all of the Southern Kingdom, although the majority of us was there on the western coast of Africa, you had others that was in other areas, and then they was also taken through slave trades up throughout Africa and other areas throughout Asia. But the bulk of us came over as well to the Americas to fulfill the prophecies, especially the one that you see in Jeremiah 16, 14, and 16, right? That it will be taken from the land of the north, right? North America is the predominant location where you'll find all tribes of Israel here serving captivity. Doesn't mean that there's not some in England. Doesn't mean that there's not some throughout Europe. Doesn't mean that there's not some still left in Africa, right? We're scattered throughout the four corners, but the bulk of us came over to fulfill the prophecies here in the Americas. So if your ancestors on your father's side fulfill that, then you would be part of the Southern Kingdom, and then the other portion of the Lord's chosen people, known as the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. A lot of times people like to come at us because we are now, as they say, being prejudiced or we're separatists. But again, the Most High is separatist. The Most High separated a nation of people from all other people. We're just identifying those people, right? Some people just are upset that it's not them, right? That's why you're reading Ezekiel, the 3rd chapter, where it talks to Ezekiel to go out and prophesy to his people. But had he had sent them to the other nation and said, you are the chosen people, they would gladly accept it. No problem, right? But now because it's not them and it's the people that they had in derision for so long, that's where that's a problem, right? And they've made and prospered. They made a lot of money and they prospered off of our downfall, that it's a problem now, right? And they understand these scriptures, that how we're going to eventually take over in the last days. The Most High is going to come and redeem us, right? So a lot of this understanding for those who are watching this newly, those who are going to watch this on the rebroadcast, you just scrolling through YouTube and you click it and you see it. A lot of this understanding is not a one night shot. You're not going to just get this in one night, one day. That's why you come daily to the Most High and you read of his will. You read of the history daily. Every Sabbath day we have a Sabbath service, classes, and then you can do your own reading and research and studying to understand how the Most High has arranged the world, the nations, and the judgment that pertains to them. All right, so that's a brief introduction as to what Hayah Sharala Kanas is about, the upliftment of our people, as well as, other people do their own upliftments, right? They do their own charge to go out and uplift and fortify their people. We're doing the same thing for ours. So it should not be a problem for us to go and tell our people that they're the Lord's chosen people, that we are the righteous people of the Most High, and we should do better, right? That's it, right? We should just do better. That's all we're asking our brothers and sisters to do. Pull up their pants, literally and spiritually, right? To be able to now walk as a son of the Most High, and then the rewards will come. All right. So I am Kahan Samak in the Hebrew support. Before we get into today's Sabbath service lesson, in the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapters 5 and 6, I just want to give a quick shout out to the Levites, right? Quick shout out to the Levites, two Levites, one Kahan Paquad, hooked up the brothers, with the garments here. We got all the brothers, nice garment straight from Haiti, right? You know what I mean? Even though it's a lot going on down there, you got brothers that's down there that's seamstress sewing some things up. So I had mine on, and Kahan's been wearing his, but I wanted to give a shout out to Kahan Paquad for hooking the brothers up with a nice garment. You know what I mean? Elder Zaquan, yes. When he comes down, we gotta get Zaquan to come down one of these days to the Sabbath service and do one here. You know what I mean? If you want, we can go up there and do it there. But no, we need to get Elder to come down here so he can put on his garment and be in unison with and we take a picture and everything else. Also, Kahan Manashah, because he's also hooked us up. I know some of y'all have seen us. If you watch some of the camp videos, or if you've seen us sitting up here, you might see we got the hoodies and things and T-shirts that also represents HYK. Nice colors. It's online if somebody else wanted to get them after the fact. But the Levites is stepping up and doing it great for us to beautify, put some holy garments on us, and make us look decent when we're doing the Most High's work. So for my side, and I know everybody else the same thing. Give the Levites, Kahan Paquad and Manashah, a shout out for and it's not even just for us. I know it's for the Most High. Everything we do is all praise to the Most High. I know I would do the same thing. You give all the praise to the Most High for giving you the inspiration and the opportunity and the resources to do what you do. But I just wanted to address that and give some shout out. So with that, we're going to jump into Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5. Wisdom of Solomon, chapters 5 and 6. And this is verse 1. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I want to double back. All right, let me double back to chapter 4. I'm going to start. At 18, 4 and 18. I was going to go back, but I don't want to go too far. So this is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 4:18. It says, "They shall see him and despise him, But the Most High power shall laugh them to scorn, and they shall hereafter be a vile carcass and a reproach among the dead forevermore. But he shall rend them and cast them down headlong, that they shall be speechless. And he shall shake them from the foundations, and they shall be utterly laid waste and be in sorrow, and their memorial shall perish. And when they cast up the accounts of their sins, they shall come with fear, and their own iniquity shall convince them to their face, right? So we're speaking about the ungodly and how the Lord is going to judge and view the ungodly. Now it says in chapter 5, verse 1, then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him and made no account of his labors, right? So it says, at that time in the last days, the righteous man shall stand with great boldness. Right? What's going to allow or empower us, the righteous man and women, to stand with great boldness? Go to Revelation chapter 11. Revelation chapter 11. And verse 11. So Revelation chapter 11 and verse 11, it says, and after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from Yahweh entered into them, right? So in the last days, our last captivity under Esau, the Most High says that after 3.5 days, which is symbolic of 350 years, right? After 350 years of doing the bulk of our captivity, starting around 1620, right? When you search the history, the bulk of us started to now begin to serve slavery here at 1620. So 350 years from thence will be around the time of 1970, right? Around the time of 1970 is when the truth began to go out in force. The Most High will begin to raise up those apostles from the past, right? The spirit of regeneration is true. The Lord prophesied that he would raise them up again in the last days and that they would go out and do the same thing that they were doing before. So 350 days brings you to around 1970, and that's where the truth came out, right? We was talking loosely about this last night in the class with Abba Bivens, right? There was little teachings here and there, little things that was now in Chicago and different places. But with Abba Bivens and the branch that came from Abba Bivens, it is what now has reached, where has filled in all the different camps today, right? From that man bringing out that truth, again, building and joining with Yaquab and so forth and so on, then the word became prevalent as it is today. So 3 days and a half, the spirit of life, which is the Bible, the truth, the laws, statutes, and commandments. It didn't all come out like how it is right now. Right, brothers wasn't teaching it in its fullness like it is right now, but it's like the parable in the book of Ezekiel, where it's talking about the waters up to your ankles, and then over time the waters come up to your shins, and then to your knees, and to your waist, and then it becomes so big that you can't flow over it. It started off small, right? It started off small. You said, what is that? That parable?
Yeah, that's what it means.
Yes, it's the truth. It's the knowledge. I think it's Ezekiel 37. 37 or 38. I'll find it. I can't remember where it's at. But there's a great parable that shows how the spirit began to move in these last days and how the waters rose. So when it started back then, the spirit of life with certain men began to become prevalent. You got it? Ezekiel 47, the water. Ezekiel the 47th chapter, right? And now we began to stand up, right? We began to stand on your feet. There's an old saying that says, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And we've fallen for a whole lot of things. That was the prophecy that the Most High put in the scriptures about us as a people, right? We had fallen out on the corners. We are like wild men out there in the streets because we lost consciousness, right? We don't have the Most High Spirit in our minds. Now, once we got the spirit of who you are as an individual, you're an Israelite, whether what tribe you from, right? This is what is required of you, right? You can't be going out there doing drugs. You can't be going out there being a whoremonger. You can't be going out there celebrating these false so-called holidays. You can't be doing this to your brother, mistreating your women. You can't be. Over time, it began to build and build and build. And then, right, more wisdom started to come. And we began more bolder and bolder in this truth. So this is what John the Revelator was shown from Yahushua in the visions of what was now transpiring in the last days, where it says again, and after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from Yahweh entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, right? So we stood up. It wasn't that we was all sitting Indian style or we was laid out. It was spiritually, right? Once you got this, man, now you stood in the Most High and the angel's eyes as a man, as a woman, right? And then once you stand, then everyone else is going to begin to start taking notice, right? Even your people, as well as the other nations, they're going to see something different about you and treat you accordingly, right? It says, and great fear fell upon them which saw them, right? Great fear. It wasn't that they just, oh, look at this person, they're seeing somebody. No, it's because they're seeing what type of individual you are, right? When you was a drug dealer, or when you was a stripper, or when you was, an Egyptologist, they didn't care. You was Muslim, they didn't care. It only began to care when you said that you was a Jew. They only began to care when you said you was an Israelite. Then great fear falls upon them because they understand that the Lord's prophecy, the Lord's chosen people are now waking up. The people from the past is still here and they're waking up, right? So that's the beauty of the spirit of life. And Elder Zaquan stole my other precept, the water for that. Can't say you stole it. It's the Most High's words, right? So this is Ezekiel. Elder Zaquan posted 37 and 10. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived and stood up upon their feet, an exceeding great army, right? That 144,000 men, right? With the 1/3 now began to stand up on their feet as a great army, right? Imagine you hear 144,000 men bellowing, Kum Yashrala, right? Kum Yashrala, Kum Yashrala, right? 144,000 all in unison, all in the spirit. Sometimes you see some clips of different camps in great numbers, but imagine 144,000 with no, separate, right? There's no, debate about this and this language and that verse and that. Everybody's in one spirit. That's a beautiful thing, like it says in Psalms 133 and 1, right? So that was Revelations 11:11. Elder gave Ezekiel 37 and 10. Also, 1 John chapter 4. First John 4:17. So it says, herein is our love made perfect, right? We know in 1 John 5 and 3 that the love of the Most High is the keeping of his commandments. So how are we made perfect? By keeping the commandments. Once you keep the commandments, right, then it says we may have boldness in the day of judgment, right? Because if you diminish or limit your iniquity and your sins, then the Most High doesn't have any reason to now judge you or punish you. Right? You want to have your good deeds outweigh your bad. Are you going to have some bad times? Sure. But you want to do more deeds righteously than wicked so that you can stand in a surety boldly in the day of judgment. Because as he is, so are we in this world. Right? Yahushua told us to be perfect like the Most High is perfect. Right? So as he is, so are we. Right? Same thing with Yahushua. We want to be just like Yahushua. That's 1 John 4 and 17. Now go to Isaiah chapter 60. Because I'm going to read what it said again. It says, then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him. and made no account of his labors. Right? So in Isaiah chapter 60, Isaiah chapter 60, and I'm going to start at verse 14.
It's related to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5, and 1.
Con. It says in Isaiah 60 and 14, the sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and all they that despise thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet, and they shall call thee the city of Yahweh, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. Whereas thou hast been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through thee, I will make thee an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations. So we went through a lot of times dating back to the early 20s where through Esau's media, they portrayed us to be the villains in the earth. They tricked the world into thinking that we were the villains when they were the villains, right? They put certain images out there, certain movies, made us look like animals, made us look like rapists, that we would go out there and be ravishing these women like monkeys or animals. That's where King Kong is predicated off of, right? They did a lot of things through media to paint a picture in your mind about us as a people. That's why it says that we were despised. So when people look at us, they think of us as filth, when their actions are the real ones that portray what they think of us. So here, the Lord is going to turn that, right? So the sons going back through generations, because it's just not these last days that we've gone through afflictions from the heathens. It goes back many generations, right? But the descendants, the sons of them, are going to be the ones that's going to be physically here to do exactly what the Most High has stated here. You got a precept?
No, what you just read about?
This is Isaiah chapter 60. I'm reading verse 40. 60, verse 14 and 15. Then I'm going to read verse 16 and stop there. 60, 60.
Yeah. 14.
And 14. And I'm going to stop at 16. So it says, thou shalt also suck the milk of the Gentiles, and shalt suck the breast of kings, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord, that I, the Lord, am thy Savior and thy Redeemer, thy mighty one of Jacob. Right? So even the Most High, when you read it, when he gave the word to the prophets, specifically here Isaiah, he's poetic in what he says. When it talks about suck the breast of kings, it's not literal. Right? We deal with this brother sometimes at camp, and with him, everything is spiritual. And there's nothing literal in the Bible. But this here, we would agree and say, yes, this is, the wording of it is figurative, right? It's not literal, like we're going to go and grab some king and set him down and take his shirt off and be actually sucking. No, it's talking about we're going to be taking all of their riches and glory and resources that they stole from us as well as other nations, right? That's what it's speaking about. And thou shalt know that the Most High is thy Savior, that he is only our Savior and Redeemer. Right? So that's Isaiah 60, verses 14 to 16. I don't know how somebody always start off with like a whole bunch of precepts in the first verse. Go to the book of Baruch. This is like a theme. Go to Baruch. Say again? Zaquan does it too?
All right, now verse 1.
Yeah, exactly, right? Baruch chapter 4. And I'm going to start at 23. Baruch 4:23 says, for I sent you out with mourning and weeping, but Yahweh will give you to me again with joy and gladness forever. Like as now the neighbors of Zion have seen your captivity, so shall they see shortly your salvation from our power, which shall come up upon you with great glory and brightness of the everlasting. So all the nations witnessed and partook in our punishment. When the Most High punished us for our sins and our iniquities, he gave us over into the hands of the nations, right? And they became rich off of our captivity, right? But the Lord says at the same time, when they seen that, they're going to also see our salvation, right? That's what we're reading here in Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter. Because for so long, we have been a nation that has been despised, and from captivity to captivity, they think that it's just going to be perpetual, right? Some of them do. Not all, but some, they feel that way, that we're just a nation that's just forgotten, right? So the Lord is going to now turn that favor, and they're going to observe, like what we're going to read, how they're going to see it. Verse 25, my children, suffer patiently the wrath that has come upon you from Yahweh, for thine enemy have persecuted thee, but shortly thou shalt see his destruction and shalt tread upon his neck. My delicate ones have gone rough ways and were taken away as a flock caught of the enemies. Be of good comfort, O my children, and cry unto Yahweh, for ye shall be remembered of him that brought these things upon you. Right? So throughout different times, righteous men or the prophets exhorted us to make sure that we took the judgment, the chastisement of the Most High, and didn't turn our backs on it. A lot of times, like it talks about in Malachi, the 1st chapter, where it says, wherein hast thou loved us? Like, where is God? There was a God. He wouldn't allow us to do this. Where throughout the scriptures, the righteous men through the Most High, we were exhorted to say, hey, this is what comes with your actions. So suffer patiently, right? Just endure unto the end. I'm coming back. If you do my will, I'll come back and redeem you. But my word can't go out void. You have to now suffer this punishment. But a lot of times when you're ignorant and you're rebellious, you don't see the goodness of the Most High. You don't see why he's chastising you. You just see the chastisement and don't care about the cause or the reason. Then the Most High is going to deal with those accordingly too. So this is for the righteous, for us to make sure that we be patient. We don't get, scared, fearful, right? Take matters into our own hands, hasty to do things according to our will. We got to be patient. That's one of the fruits of the Spirit, or the virtues that come with this truth, is patience, right? It says in verse 28, for as it was your mind to go astray from Yahweh, so being returned, seek him 10 times more. Most people should have that highlighted, right? Because we always bring out, when we was in the world, we went all out to do wickedness, right? It was nothing at times that hindered us from doing wickedness to go all out, right? So the Lord says we should do righteousness 10 times more, right? It says in verse 29, for he that have brought these plagues upon you shall bring you everlasting joy again with your salvation. Take a good heart, O Jerusalem, for he that gave thee that name will comfort thee, right? O Jerusalem, right? Peaceable, right? So we have many different names: Israel, Jerusalem, Jeshurun, upright, the Lord, Zion. The Lord has given us many different names to now exemplify or manifest the type people that we are, right? Or should live up to be. Verse 31, miserable are they that afflicted thee and rejoiced at thy fall. So this may not look like it now, right? But they're going to be in a pitiful case once they see it. And that's what we're going to also read. They're going to see it and be like, I can't believe I didn't see this coming. Or I can't believe that we did that to that people, right? It says in 33, miserable are the cities which thy children serve. Miserable is she that received thy sons. So throughout, the captivities, especially even in these last days, where it goes into the curse in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, how our sons and daughters will be given over to them, and we would go and serve the land, right, for decades upon decades to centuries, and empower this last kingdom to be the greatest power in the earth. They're going to be in a miserable and pitiful case, as we're going to read. It says, for as she rejoiced at thy ruin and was glad at thy fall, so shall she be grieved for her own destruction, right? So that's going to be the turning asunder, right? The Most High is going to turn things around.
Desolation.
What did I say?
Destruction.
Desolation. In my mind, I'm thinking the same as the destruction. But yes, their own desolation, right? So the Lord is going to turn things upside down on those that have afflicted us and rejoice at our fall, right? So let's go back.
Precept.
You got a precept? Good.
Regarding fear that you mentioned earlier,
Uh-huh.
it's Proverbs chapter 1 and verse 33. Proverbs chapter 1 and verse 33 reads, and it reads,
Was that it?
Give me 1 second.
Right after one.
Right now, 1 quick second.
What does it say?
I got it. It says,
You want me to read it?
yeah, you can read.
Proverbs 1, verse 33. But whoso hearkeneth unto me shall dwell safely, and shall be quiet from fear of evil.
So whatever's going on right now, whatever we're going through as ongoing over the scriptures, whatever atrocity we are suffering, Moses said, if you listen to me, meaning if you observe to do the law, observe to do his statutes, his commandments, right? Even though the sky may be falling, famine, economic situation, whatever the problem may be here right now, if you listen to the Most High, follow him, you'll be all right.
So back in was in the Psalm chapter 5. I'll read verse 1 again and go to 2. It says, Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him and made no account of his labors. Meaning, as far as for us keeping the commandments, right? Sabbath services, Passovers, right? Teachings, all these different things. They made no account of his labors, right? Of our labors. Verse 2. When they see it, our salvation, they shall be troubled with terrible fear and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they look for, right? Because most people probably don't see Israel as the so-called Negroes and Hispanics, right? And Native American Indians. They see Amalek. They see them that's over in the land now as being the chosen people, right? The ones that be sitting there down their head at the man-made wall, right? It wasn't made by our ancestors. That was something that Herod and them built around the temple. And they had pity upon them. But now when Yahushua comes back and then comes to redeem us, and they see that it is us that's now being redeemed and saved, right? Then they're going to be afraid. Then that fear is going to set in on them because they've mistreated the Most High's people. It says in verse 3, and they, repenting and groaning for anguish of spirit, shall say within themselves, this was he whom we had sometimes in derision and a proverb of reproach, right? Lazy thieves, right? Come up with all these bywords and proverbs that the Most High put as a curse that the nation would now label us by, right? The wicked. We got the name title of wicked, evil, right? Beast. Animals, those animals, can't believe it, right? That became us, But then when they see this, then they're going to realize they're going to be repenting and groaning for anguish of spirit. Go to Matthew 24. It's going to be like a double whammy. Matthew 24. And 30. Matthew 24 and 30 reads, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. So they're talking about they're going to be repenting and groaning, right? Not only based on us, but when they see the Savior and the angels come, right? Then they're going to also be afraid. Then they're also going to be mourning, right? When it's talking about the tribes of the earth, this tribes is not talking about expressly the 12 tribes of Israel. It's talking about the tribes of all the nations, right? Every nation, all the big nations have tribes, just like how we have tribe, Ishmael has tribe, so forth and so on. So all those other nations are going to be mourning because now judgment is about to happen. They're seeing the chariots, seeing the so-called UFOs covering the earth. And as they're seeing the UFOs cover the earth, it says in 31, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. So they're going to be seeing us being redeemed, right? Like that movie, Knowing. They're going to be seeing destruction happening, right? Calamities happening. And then all of a sudden, you're going to see somebody just gone, just taken up. Like, yo, why is everybody with fringes leaving? What's going on? why is everybody who's melanated, right? Who are saying that why are they being the ones taken? Those who was claiming that they're Jews. Are they the real ones? Oh, no. Right? Repenting, groaning for anguish of spirit, mourning in that day. Right? So the prophets was now all given visions or similarities of what that last day, those last moments was going to be. Right? Now, even before we get to that point, even before we get to Yahweh's return, you have some people now recognizing that we are the chosen of the Most High. Right? Some people now, I remember years ago when we was at camp up in North, and Elder Bakwash was teaching, and it was the Mormons that was out there, and it was an Edomite and I think a Japheth, and Bakwash was going in on him, and I seen the Japhite. There was two standing in front of the camp, and the Japhite left the Mormon, the other Edomite Mormon, and came to the back of our camp and was now trying to plead with us, right? He was pleading with us as far as for trying to have mercy. Is God going to have mercy on us? What's going to happen to us, right? He left. He separated himself from Esau, right? So now you're going to have it where some people are going to start to know and pay attention and understand who the real Jews are. And they're going to start considering. You're seeing some videos out there now where you have heathens that come out and make videos that confirm and do their own research and agree and say, yes, so-called black man is the real Jew. They'll say that, right? I think I forgot that clip, Yahweh, that you sent with the Ishmaelite woman. I used to have it saved. I don't know why I have it saved with the Ishmaelite woman, where she was over there and she was pleading for the so-called black man to come back, right? To wake up and to come back. Take your true heritage, right? She was pleading with us to now take our own. What did Paul say in Corinthians? Was it 1 Corinthians? Matter of fact, go to that 1 Corinthians chapter 1. This lady was pleading with us for us to take our own heritage. And this is probably what led Paul to say this. 1 Corinthians chapter 1. and 18. No, not the one. What is it? That's not the one I want. Not that one. The other one, where he said it was foolishness to preach. What was that verse? Not 32. Right, 21. So 1 Corinthians chapter 1 and 21. It says, for after that, in the wisdom of Yahweh, the world by wisdom knew not the power. It pleased the power by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believe. Right? So that second precept is the one where Paul classifies it, or the Most High classifies it, that we had to go out and preach to our brothers. But it's foolishness to a certain extent, because we have to now come out and tell you who you are. We got to come out and tell you, pull your pants up. We got to come out and tell you, cover yourself up. Stop doggone coloring eggs and putting it under tables. You are not black. Your skin is brown. We got to, it's foolishness. Sometimes when we're standing out there and we ask a person, you know, what's your nationality? Or what color are you? And we hear the answers that a lot of us have been seduced and persuaded into saying. It's like, yo, man, you scratch your head like, yeah, I can't believe this, right? So it was foolishness at times to go out and preach to save, preach to the salvation of our people. And thinks about that, because the lady is pleading with you. It's like a woman coming up to you on the street and saying, please stop being the N-word and just be a Jew, be an Israelite. Stop doing that, right? And it's like, it just sounds crazy, but that's the reality of how it comes off, right? To those who know, right? And they rather be under us than be up under Esau, right? They rather be under our dominion and authority to be under Esau's dominion and authority, because we still, even though we're going to judge them according to the Lord's punishment, we're still going to rule with equity. We're not going to be as wicked as Esau is, right? So they rather still want us, for those who are now, you know, the bottom, or the have-nots and the forgottens of those other nations. The elitists of them, they want to try to stretch this thing as it can go far on, so they can continue to be rich off of us, right? So that was I read Matthew's 24, 30 and 31, and then 1 Corinthians 1 and 21. So going back to Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5, and we have verse 4 now. It says, we fools accounted his life madness and his end to be without honor. We, the ungodly, specifically speaking about the other nations, right? Because it's ungodly when you read the first chapters 2, I think, to 6 or 7, is getting into the other nations and how they are the ungodly. In context, it says, how is he numbered among the children of God, and his lot is among the saints, right? How is it that they are the ones that fulfilling what a saint is? I thought it was like Sister Teresa and all the rest of them, right? Mother Teresa. They now also could be saints, right? They now in that number that's supposed to be swinging low. Write down First Esdras chapter 2. No, Second Esdras chapter 2. And 40. Actually, I'm gonna start at 38. How is it that they are numbered? Well, the Lord prophesied. So Second Esdras 2 and 38 to 40, actually 41. Second Esdras chapter 2, verse 38. Arise up and stand. Behold, the number of those that be sealed in the fear of the Lord, which are departed from the shadow of the world, and have received glorious garments of the Lord. Take thy number, O Sion, and shut up those of thine that are clothed in white, which have fulfilled the law of the Lord. The number of thy children, whom thou longest for, is fulfilled. Beseech the power of the Lord, that thy people, which have been called from the beginning, may be hallowed. Right? So, we go into a lot of times where people deem the Apocrypha non-canon to not include it anymore in the Bible, is because, it's not as mysterious when you read it in the New Testament with Paul and the other prophets. It's more direct here in certain cases where it's talking about thy people from the beginning. Who were the Lord's chosen people from the beginning? Israel. They were Zion. That's what a number is. It's not coming from everybody. It's coming from just that one people, right? So the number has always been with Israel. Elder Zaquan read this last week in Revelations chapter 7, right? That number that has to be sealed is 144,000 of all the tribes of the nation of Israel, right? Those men have to now represent the governing body of Israel, to include the 1/3 that you see later on in that chapter, right? So this is the number that has been sealed, that is numbered among the saints of the Most High, right? And this number here is really speaking about the elect. So let's go back to Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5, and we have verse 6 now. Verse 6 says, therefore have we erred from the way of truth, and the light of righteousness have not shined unto us, and the sun of righteousness rose not upon us, right? So in that day, as time goes on, even before Yahushua comes back, some are going to realize that they have inherited lies, like it says in Jeremiah chapter 16. Jeremiah chapter 16 and verse 19. So Jeremiah 16 and 19 says, O Yahweh, my strength and my fortress and my refuge in the day of affliction, the Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit, right? So over time, you're going to have the other nations that's not going to, even some of those not going to be destroyed, they're still going to be here. They're going to recognize and acknowledge that they've inherited lies. Their fathers and their fathers' fathers passed down lies throughout the generations about themselves as well as us as a people. So, right? And then that still is not going to remove them from the judgment of the Most High, right? The Most High's judgment is still going to come forth, just like Antiochus. Even though he repented, when you read it in the book of Maccabees, even though he repented for all that he was about to do and what he had claimed that he was going to do to Israel, and he took away the tax, he gave us back gold and riches, still didn't matter. The judgment was set, right? Can't say, oh, let's just show mercy on them because, they repent. No, the judgment was set. So even though they come back and they acknowledge and they say sorry and they say, here's your 40-acre, no, the judgment is set. Can't be taken away, right? So back in verse 7. Nice way you got in that chair. You slid in that chair. Verse 7. We wearied ourselves in the way of wickedness and destruction. Yeah, we have gone through deserts, deserts where there lay no way. But as for the way of the Lord, we have not known it. Right? So they've gone throughout all different kind of places to just execute wickedness. Right? What it says in Micah. Go to Micah. Micah chapter 2 and verse 1. They will search high and wide and go to far places to the distant end to go rape, rob, and pillage. Push the agenda. So in Micah 2 and 1, it says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hands. So when they rise up, you know, you wake up in the morning, thinking what you got to do today, right? They wake up at the rising in the morning thinking about what kind of wickedness can I get myself into today? Whose land can I go and how much taxes can I take from, how much unjust rules and laws can I pass, right? These are thoughts that come up in the minds of some of them when they rise up in the morning to push upon the nations, right? It says, and they covet fields and take them by violence, right? That same exact, man, and how Jezebel wanted to take that man's vineyard. That's what they do. They plot on how do they take certain people's land. We was talking about after the class last night about farming and how these big companies plot on how to take another person's land, another person's farm. I'm gonna set my farm up right next to his farm. My seed is patented. I'm gonna make sure that my seeds get into his farm, and then when I prove that my seed is a part of his crop, I take his whole farm. Who thinks of this stuff, man? I'm gonna take his whole farm. I'm gonna take him to court, and now that's my farm. And it's documented. People are like, yo, man, what are you talking about? My family's had this farm for not no more. These guys is crazy, man. These guys is treacherous.
Right, and how they plan on taking people's land on a global level. They take you to war, and in order to fight the war, you need resources, and then they give you loan to buy the resources from them, right? They take the money right back to them, and then once the war is over, you need reconstruction money, so you can never pay the loan from the war. Now they charge you to reconstruct it. Everything go right back to them, and they take over all your country.
Right. Now they say, you can't pay? All right, just give us, we're going to take that. We won't do anything. We'll just take that resource right there. We'll just take that over there, right? That's, I mean, the first example of describing, so yeah, what you were describing, I remember when you go into the history about the Rothschilds and how the Rothschilds, I forget the father's name, he had 4 or 5 sons, and he strategically would place them to go in different areas to now, what'd you say?
Mayor Hampshire.
Yes, man, and they would now, either be bankers or warlords, where they would now make sure that war was proliferated, and they would loan money to these people to go and excite war. Right? Oh, you need more weapons? Okay, I'll give it to you. You need weapons? I give it to you. But it's coming at the expense of the people because they can't pay it back. Right? They in debt. What's that movie, Kahan, that we watched? He who controls the debt controls the world. Right? If I can get the internationals with the movie, if I can get you indebted to me, you owe me. Right? That's a bad place to want to be in when you in debt to somebody and you can't pay it. That means they can come to you at any time they want. Let me borrow that. I need that. I need that. Like, yo, that's all I got. But you owe me. Right? So you're going to always be forced to give up something to pay the debt. Right? And that's how they try to operate. And what is it? How hypocritical it is that the national debt is like someone say, well, who are they indebted to? What's that number? Who are they owing all that money to? The banks, right? The Iron Bank, right?
Yeah, I was looking at a thing with the Israel and the Palestinians where they fighting each other for something that doesn't belong to them. But some of the Palestinians had like certain houses and stuff, and the Israeli would go down and bulldoze it down and take over the land and build their house on top of that. So some of the Palestinians saying, where's the paper? This is my land. And they're like, oh, we don't care. We're just going to take it.
Right.
It belongs to us now.
Right. Not to say that they justified in saying that it is their land, but on the surface of what they're doing, they're going and coveting a house that don't belong to them. I've seen the video where he saw Amalek just go into a person's house and just claiming like how eminent domain, you just claim eminent domain, you just claim the guy's house. Like, what are you talking about? All this stuff is still in the house. He's like, what are you talking about? If I don't take it, somebody else gonna take it. So, you know, it's like first come, first serve, right? I'm coming to get it before they get it. I'm gonna put my name here and you gotta get out. There's nothing you can do when they're the ruling authority. Right? What are you gonna do? You gonna take them to court? It's gonna win in court.
Or they have the eminent domain here too.
Yeah.
And it's funny how the banking cartels, they self-regulated themselves. They write their own laws and then they send it to Congress. Congress pass it. And then they trick people to think that they are federal, but they're not really federal. They just carry the name to think that they're federal, but they're private. And then running, take over the whole thing. And then once you don't abide by the rules that they set up, they charge you with federal crime. It's like the private bankers charge you with federal crime. You think it's the government, but it's not the government, it's the private banking cartel.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's what Gabar, I think he was asking us about, you know, why we used to like Game of Thrones, because that whole setup, like, you know, I was making a joke about the Iron Bank, right? That's how like the federal bank that, you know, IMFs and all them operate, man. They want you to be indebted to them. They pull the strings, right? Cause you to push certain laws and certain things in order to appease them. Then it says in verse 2, and they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage, right? So they oppress a man, his house, right, and his heritage, both, you know, from the physical perspective, taking a person's land, right, where you had that in your family for I don't know how many years, and then also your heritage, right? Even figuratively, how they take other people's identity and their heritage, right? We are like, we're the chosen of the Most High, we're the heritage of the Lord. They've taken that title for themselves, right? They've stolen that. They take everything. So when they talk about, we're reading here in Wisdom of Solomon, where it says that, and yeah, we have gone through deserts, we have where they lay no way, but for the way of the Lord we have not known it. They weary themselves to do wickedness tirelessly. They're going to figure certain things out, right? That's why the laws always be changing and certain policies always be changing, and the things being meant, because it's to further proliferate their wickedness, keep things going.
Right, and also, and when I say sometimes when we're talking about financial literacy, I said it's a big giant Ponzi scheme. It is not a blanket statement, because those that they don't want to take it by violence, they set up the market where you go and speculate so that they can steal your property legally. Like, for example, if you have land, everything is commodified in the market. You can go and trade in the market with your money, and once you lose it, it's legal because you took the risk and go in there. They didn't call you. You come voluntarily and offered it. But they, even Congress and all those guys, they trade based on insider information. But you on the outside, you don't know what the hell's going on at what time, when they're gonna make a move, and here it goes, all your assets is in there, is at risk. Once you lose it, you transfer your property to them legally. So that's why you gotta always be watch out and don't think these people like.
Yeah, really. Wow. Yeah, man. They greedy. Matt, imagine you're a person, you go to the casino and you pull a slot and you hit that $1 million on the slot, ding, 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 and it's ringing. And you happy, all kind of emotions going through, and it says, sorry, the machine was malfunctioning. We can't. You know how many times this happened in the past several years?
Yeah.
The machine is malfunctioning. Yes. It happened. Go look it up. Google the machine malfunction. People trying to go to court. You're like, yo, how is it? Why no other machine was malfunctioning when the $100 paid out, you wasn't care, but now that I get the $1 million one or the $2 million one or whatever, now the machine malfunctions, so I can't get paid out. Yeah.
The house always wins.
The house always wins, man. Yeah. It's crazy.
Oh, nobody's gonna read it. I'm just gonna reference Deuteronomy 28, 43, and 44. It's part of the curse. So Deuteronomy 28 and 43, the stranger that is within thee shall cut up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail.
Fine. And then you could also write down 2 Maccabees chapter 9. I referenced earlier about Antiochus Epiphanes and how he was on the charge to come in war against Israel, and the Most High hit him with an incurable plague. And once he got that incurable plague, then he had a change of heart and then started to do good to Israel, but didn't matter. The judgment of the Most High was set. So you can read that in 2 Maccabees, the 9th chapter, for those who were unaware or did not know about that story.
Mention some of what you showed.
Oh, I take it too.
Bring it up so everybody else can hear. So be careful.
Yeah, just Google Antiochus. He said Antiochus heard that his army had been defeated in Judea. He boarded a ship and fled to the coastal cities. Wherever he came, the people rebelled and called him the fugitive. So he drowned himself in the sea. Yeah, it takes it to you.
Yeah, but what is
Explain.
Yeah, you got.
Oh no!
So that's the rule.
But in the scripture, you talk about how the Most High jacked him up, and give him incurable disease and things like that, and then he died.
Uh-huh.
But according to here, the Google, they're like he said he drowned himself in the sea.
Okay. So.
Like lies and stuff.
Oh, there you go. There you go. There you go.
They're forgers of lies.
Exactly.
They're trying to, make themselves look good and so on and so forth.
Right.
But according to biblical, our history has everything in it.
Right.
The Most High bear everything out in history. What we did and so on and so forth. And when we sinned and we got punished for and so on and so forth. Everything is there. But other nations, they try to hide certain things. But the Most High, made it, clear for us.
Right. So just like it says in Daniel 7:25 about how they was going to think to change times and laws, they try to change history. Right. A lot of times you'll see, what he's getting at is it tells you in the 9th chapter, 2 Maccabees, about what happened to Antiochus Epiphanes. But if you Google, you go into certain new narratives, they'll give you a whole different storyline. Same thing what they're trying to do with our even just slavery. They're looking to change how slavery looks because certain educationalists will say that they don't want to now have society still being portrayed as evil for what happened during the time of slavery. So they want to change the narrative and massage it a bit, not a bit, a lot, to kind of erase those times and events that happened during those 100 years.
You see, guest workers.
Yes.
They were guest workers.
Yes. Yes.
What?
And you get an old narrative like, yeah, we chose that. They chose to come over here and work. We didn't take them. When we got on the boat, right? They start making up stuff now. All right, so let's go back. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5, and we at verse 8 now. It says, what have pride profited us? Or what good have riches with our vaunting brought us? Right? So all how they lived, how it describes them in the book of Luke and in Revelations, lavish, flaunting, all these things that they do, whether here in the Americas or over there in Europe or different areas. It says, what has that got us? What has that vaunting brought us? Right? That pride and that boastful act that they portray in the media about themselves and how they downplay us, it has brought them to this very end that the Lord is going to bring them down. It says, all those things are passed away like a shadow and as a post that hasteth by. I think we read this I don't know if it was this night or the last night. 1 Corinthians chapter 8. 1 Corinthians 7:31 links with verse 9. First Corinthians 7:31 says, and they that use this world are not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away. So the way and lifestyle and how society is, that's going to pass away. It's going to pass away with a great noise, right? It's going to pass away within an hour, right? A lot of these prophecies dictate how this is now going to occur, but they are seeing this in the past of what's going to happen in the future. So back again on verse 9, all those things, their riches and their vaunting, are passed away like a shadow. It's like an afterthought, and as a post that hasted by. Verse 10, and as a ship that passeth over the waves of the water, which when it is gone by, the trace thereof cannot be found, neither the pathway of the keel of the waves, right? So when you see a ship, you see the line as a ship goes by, and then after a while, the water just covers it right back up, right? That's going to be their remembrance. Verse 11, or as when a bird hath flown through the air, there is no token of her way to be found, but the light air being beaten with the strokes of her wings, and parted with the violent noise and motion of them, it passed through, and therein afterwards no sign where she went is to be found, right? So as a bird fly, you can't see the air, but you know the bird is using the air to get that traction to be able to stay up, above the earth. But now, once it goes away, you ain't seeing what allowed it to now stay buoyant in the air. That's going to be their remembrance, right? That's going to be their after effects of all that they've done. The Most High is going to spiritually now cast them aside. It's only going to be used probably as a reference, but we're not going to think about it like how we think about good times. Remember the back in the day when we used to do such and such? We're not going to be doing that in that day. We're not going to be like, yo, I remember back in the day when we was in the world. And nah, you're not going to be talking about back in the day being in the world when you was at the skating rink and when you was doing that. No, you ain't going to be doing that in that day. All that fashion, that lifestyle, those thoughts is going to pass away, and we're going to be in a righteous frame of mind. Verse 12, or like as when an arrow is shot at a mark, it parteth the air, which immediately cometh together again, so that a man cannot know where it went through, right? So if it's cloudy or you got some kind of mist and you shoot that air, it separates the air, and then it rolls back into itself, and then it just fades away. Verse 13, even so we in like manner, as soon as we were born, began to draw to our end, and had no sign of virtue to show, but were consumed in our own wickedness, right? So this is like Malachi chapter 1, verse, 3, right? What it describes Edom as the border of wickedness. And we use Edom because Edom is the top nation of them all. Where it says like manner, as soon as we were born. It's not talking about just the person born. It's talking about the birth of their nation, right? The birth of their nation, because again, Esau and Jacob set the tone for the whole world, right? Esau and Jacob was the tone for the whole world. So now when their nation came into power, right, that was the beginning of the end, because they knew based on prophecy, based on how things was going to progress, that they was going to now come to an end, and then that come after it was going to follow. Go to 2nd Esdras chapter 7. Not 7, 6. 2nd Esdras chapter 6 and verse 8. Second Esdras 6 and 8. It says, and he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau, For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Right? So that was the token that was shown to Ezra by Uriel, the messenger or angel of the Most High, that their birth was symbolic of the course of the world, on how Jacob would be that one that would bring down Esau, right? Jacob is going to be the one that was going to follow Esau's end of reign, right? Of wickedness. There's no other nation that was going to follow after Esau, not Moab, right? Not Ishmael, no other nation was going to follow after them but Jacob. So once they became in power, once they became, especially that last kingdom that Daniel spoke about, they was now on a way to destruction. Right? So now let's go back. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5. I'll read 13 again. Even so, we in like manner, as soon as we were born, began to draw to our end and have no sign of virtue to show, but were consumed in our own wickedness. So all of their actions, like we was reading in Micah chapter 2, all of their ways and how they became a power, there was no virtue. What they left behind was destruction. Nothing righteous, right? Nothing righteous that you can look and see that they did in the earth. It was going to be only wickedness, and they were consumed in it. Infectious was it. Verse 14, for the hope of the ungodly is like dust that is blown away with the wind, like a thin froth that is driven away with the storm, like as a smoke which is dispersed here and there with the tempest, and passed away as a remembrance of a guest that tarrieth but a day. Right? So, it's short-lived. That's what it's saying. That last precept lets you know it's short-lived. The guest that tarrieth for a day. He's there for a time and, enjoys himself, and then he's gone. Right? Just a day. So their time is going to be just like everything else with the boat. You see the ship? You can see the ship. You can see the line, but it's going to disappear after a moment. It's short-lived. Right? Short-lived compared to forever and ever, right? Hundreds of years, right, compared to forever and ever is a short time span. Our minds can't consume it because right now we're still in this flesh. We're still in sin to understand the longevity of how we would live in righteousness, right? We especially young black men are concerned with trying to make it to 21, right? Make it to adulthood where you can have kids, right? Because the valley, the shadow of death, always doesn't give you that assurance. But now, once you're in the kingdom, Scripture tell you, like I'm paraphrasing, at the age of a child should be 200 years old, right? 200 years old. You're still almost like in your infancy, in your youth. Whereas, today, 80 years old, 90 years old, man, you've lived a long, great time, right? You lived a long, good time is what they say. Where in the kingdom, if that was to happen, man, like, dang, they ain't reached the youth yet. All right? That's what we have to look forward to. So it's going to be a total changing of the mindset.
You said it. It's like our acquaintance with death in this life shattered our understanding of forever, everlasting life. We cannot conceive it. I mean, you said it.
Verse 15. But the righteous live forevermore. Their reward also is with Yahweh, and the care of them is with the Most High. Well, their reward is with the Lord, and the care of them is with the Most High. Right? So we're going to live forevermore. Right? The Most High is going to have us in his bosom, like it symbolic of Abraham, for eternity. Verse 16. Therefore shall they receive a glorious kingdom and a beautiful crown from the Lord's hand. For with his right hand shall he cover them, and with his arm shall he protect them. So we read that in 2nd Esdras, the 2nd chapter, with the number. As you read on down, Yahushua is going to give the glorious crown upon those saints that have labored in righteousness, right? 2nd Esdras 2:43 on down, right? That's going to be the fulfillment of that. Then you could also link it up with Psalms 91. Psalms 91, and I'm going to read from verse 1. So Psalm 91 and 1 says, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of Yahweh, he is my refuge and my fortress, my power, in him will I trust. Surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence, right? So that's going into when he talks about he will deliver you from the snare of the fowler and the noisome pestilence. You can link that with Judges.
What you just read?
This is Psalms 91. I stopped at verse 3 for the time being. You can link that verse with Judges chapter 5 and verse 11. Psalms 91 and verse 3 linked with Judges 5 and 11, which says, they that are delivered from the noise of archers in the places of drawing water, there shall they rehearse the righteous acts of the Lord, even the righteous acts toward the inhabitants of his villages in Israel. Then shall the people of the Lord go down to the gates, meaning take their leadership position. So those who are delivered, those righteous men and women who are now putting on the righteous acts, keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, the Most High is going to deliver them. So it's saying the same thing here in Psalms 91 and 3.
That song by the river of Babylon, and we sat down, that's the foundation of the Zionist movement. That's what they use as their foundation. This is by the river of Babylon, where we sat down, and then we met Zion. That's the first that they use as their foundation.
What, this one here?
Yeah.
Because there's a
Zionist.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
because I would let it say there's a.
Yeah, Psalm 137.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read on in Psalms 91. This is verse 4. It says, he shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler, right? So the Most High will spiritually, figuratively cover you, protect you, as much as you are now putting your trust in the Lord, which is in his truth. And you do that by your actions, by now exhibiting those things that please the Most High. Once you do that, the Lord will protect you. How will he protect you? Right? I'm gonna jump down to verse 11. I'm sorry, verse 10.
Still in Judges?
I'm still in Numbers. I mean, Psalms. I'm back in Psalms 91 now. I didn't really want to read all of it because the whole chapter is like a very, every chapter is a beautiful chapter, but this chapter symbolizes the last days and how the Lord is going to protect you if you do his will. So in verse 10, it says, there shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. Right? So in the same thing that happened during the times of Egypt, when the Most High was plaguing Egypt and it did not happen to Israel in Goshen, the Lord's going to do the same thing in the last days if you're keeping his will, right? So you could be the only apartment in the building, the only house on the block, the only person standing in the field, whatever. The Most High will have it where you will be isolated and protected by keeping his will, right? Thus saith the Lord. And you got to have that faith that that's how it's going to be, right? You got to have that faith that the Most High will keep his word and protect you.
That during COVID, that chapter 91 inspired me. And I made a t-shirt around that time.
Yeah.
And I wore the t-shirt. I was inspired by that chapter right there.
Yeah. Verse 11, for he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways. So now, just like Yahushua, when he was feeling weak before his crucifixion, the Most High sent angels to him to minister unto him, right? To now inspire him, to keep him going. So in that day, when you may feel weak, where you may feel like you don't have it, you can't do it, the Most High is going to send angels to keep your charge, like I used to have in New York back in the day, guardian angels, right? The real guardian angels are going to come protect you, but also minister and inspire you and exhort you through the Spirit to now keep going on. It says, they shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone, meaning no harm is going to come to you, right? Just like when you read in the Maccabees, when Judas was going out and fighting, and the angels came and lifted Judas up and protected him, covered him with their wings, and then they went and fought for him, right? That wasn't figurative. That was literal, right? The angels actually came during the time of war and took Judas, lifted him up in 2 Maccabees, and covered him with their wings, protected him as they were fighting against the Greeks, right? The angels will do that at that time to protect you when all chaos and calamities is happening, right? Just like how during the time of Lot, how they blinded those men that was trying to come in and ravish the angels. They're thinking that they was regular men, right? They can now put a spirit on different men. They could blind them, put a spirit on them to show you favor. Like in Jeremiah 15:11, Jeremiah 15:11, that he'll make your enemies at peace with you. The Lord can do all these things, but we just have to try to fight to do his will, right? I'll stop there, but like I said, you can read the whole 91st chapter. It's a beautiful chapter on how the Lord will, with his right hand, he'll cover you and protect you through his spirit, and then also send the angels as well to protect you. So back in Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5, we have verse 17. He shall take to him his jealousy for complete armor, and make the creature his weapon for the revenge of his enemies. Right? What is that scripture where the Lord says that we was going to be his battle axe?
Jeremiah 51, I think 19.
Yeah, 51 and 20. Jeremiah 51 and 20. Right? Because it says, he shall take to him his jealousy for complete armor, and make the creature his weapon for the revenge of his enemies. So in Jeremiah 51 and 20, I'm going to start at 19. The portion of Jacob is not like them. What did Kendra say? They're not like us? Right? The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The Lord of hosts is his name, right? So the portion of Jacob is not like them. You can't compare the Most High to these false gods, right? And then we are his inheritance. We are the product of the Most High. It says, thou art my battle axe and weapon of war, for with thee will I break in pieces the nations, and with thee will I destroy kingdoms. Right? So the Lord, even though he's going to have angels that's going to come with Yahushua, he's also going to raise up those 144, those righteous, and then allow them to come and execute judgment in the earth. It says in verse 21, and with thee will I break in pieces the horse and his rider, and with thee will I break in pieces the chariot and his rider, and with thee will I break in pieces man and woman, and with thee will I break in pieces old and young, and with thee will I break in pieces the young man and the maid, right? And as you read on down, so this links with what Sister Alia Aina pulled in the class last night in Ezekiel the 9th chapter. When you read from verse 4 all the way down to like 6 or 7, right? Talks about not having any pity, sparing, man, woman, maid, young man, old man, slave, utterly old and young. That's what it said there, right? Same thing here in Jeremiah. The Lord is going to use his people to execute his judgments in that day, right? So we got to wait upon the Lord. So now going back to Wisdom of Solomon 5. Verse 18, he shall put on righteousness as a breastplate and true judgment instead of an helmet. You could write down Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12 on down. Pretty much everybody kind of remembers that one as far as putting on the whole armor of the Lord. Isaiah 59. Isaiah 59 and 15. So it says, yea, truth faileth, and he that departeth from evil maketh himself a prey. And the Lord saw it, and it displeased him that there was no judgment, right? So that's how we are in the last days. Truth fails, righteousness fails. And when you depart from evil, you make yourself a prey. Now you stand out, right? People now are going to look at you and single you out and want to offer you up. Yahweh said, you're going to be thrown in prisons for my name's sake. You're going to be, this is going to happen to you. Paul and the rest of the apostles going out and preaching and advocating for righteousness. What happened to them? Right? You had a lot of apostles and men of the Lord that was murdered, crucified. I think Peter was crucified upside down on the cross, right? So you had a lot of things for men who now stood up for righteousness or tried to follow the ways of Yahweh. I'm going to read it again. Yeah, truth faileth, and he that departed from evil maketh himself a prey. And the Lord saw it, and it displeased him that there was no judgment. And he saw that there was no man, and wondered that there was no intercessor. Therefore his arm brought salvation unto him, and his righteousness it sustained him. For he put on righteousness as a breastplate, and a helmet of salvation upon his head. And he put on the garments of vengeance for clothing, and was clad with zeal as a cloak. Right? So that's what we do. Right? We're supposed to spiritually, figuratively put on righteousness. Right? Not just this. This is beautiful. Right? When we clothe ourselves with righteous garments, glorious garments, put fringes on the bottom of the garments, like the law says. But going all the way back during the time of Moses, all the way to John the Revelator, it was always foretold that it was spiritual, that these fringes were supposed to represent something spiritual, right? So that you would not be found naked, so that you would know how to arm yourself when you go out in society, right? When you now step away or want to follow the righteous path, you was clothed with wickedness before, right? You chose death and wickedness before, but now you want to follow righteousness. So you now have to clothe yourself with righteousness, right? Eating good, right? Following certain days to worship or fellowship with, knowing how to deal with equity with your brothers and your sisters, right? Judging morally, righteously, right? All these things, this is how we start clothing ourselves. And then you remember how you used to be in the world, and you say, I ain't doing that. I don't know why I was doing that. It was wicked. Now you putting on this to now try to bring righteousness into and judgment within the nation.
But like we read, right? At first, when you make that decision, it's gonna feel like it's the wrong choice,
right?
Because of the affliction is gonna start coming in, and then to torment you, to test you, see if you're really serious. It's gonna feel like, man, did I make the right choice with all the things that I'm doing?
Mm-hmm. Like I took the armor off.
Right. That's what that aspect is what, you know, when you deal with wisdom, as you get a little bit into the next chapter, wisdom has to prove you, right? Got to prove you. This is the right thing. Damn,
you real.
I know it was gonna be about this, right?
Everything was easier before I did.
Yeah.
It said I put on armor. I felt like I took it off.
Yeah, Paul. That's what Paul said, right? I was alive once. I was alive once. Then came the law. Damn it. What is this? Can't do that no more. Right? That's the battle. It's that internal battle that you have, the spirit and the flesh. So I stopped at, what did I stop at? I read from 15, I stopped at 17. So going back, verse 19 in the Wisdom of Psalm chapter 5. He shall take holiness for an invincible shield. His severe wrath shall he sharpen for a sword, and the world shall fight with him against the unwise. Then shall the right aiming thunderbolts go abroad, and from the clouds, as from a well-drawn bow, shall they fly to the mark. And hailstones full of wrath shall be cast as out of a stone bow, and the water of the sea shall rage against them, and the floods shall cruelly drown them. Yeah, a mighty wind shall stand up against them, and like a storm shall blow them away. Thus iniquity shall lay waste the whole earth, and ill dealing shall overthrow the thrones of the mighty. Right? So you dealing with iniquity, you're going to be laid waste. Right? Your ill dealings is going to lead you to destruction, and the Most High's judgment is about to come and lay all that down. Right? You can link that up with 2 Peter 3 and 10. Second Peter 3 and 10. Second Peter 3 and 10 says, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. Right? So that's going into when it's talking about, all that description of what's going to happen in the last days, the arrows and things leaving a mark is going into the war. Right? There's going to be a war, and then culminating the war is going to be the launching of the missiles. And when you launch the missiles, those ICBM intercontinental missiles, right? Because when you read it in Esdras, it talks about other types of missiles that's going to be let loose. That's not the missiles. There's going to be other different forms of missiles, the arrows or the stars that's going to be falling here and there. They're going to be shooting stars against each other. But the real ones that's going to be at the last when Yahushua come, that's what's going to now preclude the destruction of Babylon, right? And this is what Peter is describing. What the heavens shall pass away, the heavens speaking about this kingdom, right? It's not talking about the sun, moon, and stars going to pass away, or the third heaven's going to pass away. It's talking about this government, this rulership, and the destruction of the cities and everything else with it is going to go.
And also it shows that based on that scripture, it shows that the Most High in control of even the nuclear weapon that that those guys built, right? They're inspired by the Most High for the last day.
Mm-hmm.
And Esau himself don't really want the nuclear war.
Yeah,
they don't want the nuclear war because it's a lose-lose situation, right? But the Mossad controls that. When the nuclear weapons start, it's the Mossad that's controlling the launching of all these weapons. To the point where Russia made a weapon as heavy as a nuclear weapon, but without the
without that warhead.
Yeah, without the warhead that can explode, without the the radiation type of materials in it,
mm-hmm.
right? But it can make a damage the specific spot that they aim at damaging without the radiation.
Mm-hmm.
But showing that Mossad, when the nuclear, none of them can stop the.
They can't stop it from happening, but they in their minds they are trying to prepare for those things. That's why you have all these different places. A lot of the elites and those who are rich and wealthy have underground bunkers. Right. That's like in that movie "Leave the World Behind." At the end of the movie, where the little girl go, she was in there. Well, I forgot what Friends. She was watching Friends, and you checking her out, even Friends. But she was in an underground bunker that had all the supplies and everything you need to last for a long period of time. Right. And that's their thinking, is that they're going to outlast the Most High's judgment. Right. It's going to come, but we're going to survive. Right. We're going to survive it. Right. Just get some non-perishables, last for about a year. Everything will clear itself up. The wind will blow all the radiation away, and we come out and then we start all over again. Right. That's the thinking. But
right. And what's funny about that weapon that they made that Russia made, it has the ability to drill down even down to to the earth. So even now it's showing them even their bunkers is not safe.
Right.
As they think.
Yeah. That'll come out.
Yeah. I remember doing when Saddam Hussein was alive, some people used to go in their bunkers, but they had certain weapons they call like bunker busters. They used to go and break these bunkers up, here as modern day weapons, so on and so forth. They used to find them and just break them up.
Right.
So Esau think he has a chance that he's gonna be in his bunker, he's gonna be like way down in the earth and away from the Mosai, but the Mosai gonna find him out.
The elder read that in Revelations, right? Chapter 6, a couple weeks back. Right. Let the rocks fall on us and hide us from the face. I was going to read Amos chapter 9, 1 and 3.
Right.
The whole of the rocks, keep it in Europe.
You consider Revelation 6 that those rocks fall on them to protect them.
You mean that the rocks falling? What do you mean they're going into the earth? Yeah.
Right. In other words, could be a hideout in these caves and the rocks create to seal us away from them. We read it a couple weeks back, Revelation 6. This is Amos chapter 9 and verse 1. It reads, I saw the Lord standing upon the altar, and he said, smite the lintel of the door, that the post may shake, and cut them in the head, all of them. And I will slay the last of them with the sword. He that fleeth of them shall not flee away, he that escapeth of them shall not be delivered. Though they dig into hell, thence shall mine hand take them. Though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down. Though they hide themselves in the top of Carmel, I will search and take them out thence. And though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them. That's where they want to go underground, build a refuge in a mountain. Like I know that, Bill Cooper book, was talking about that back in the day. This whole thing called Mount Weather. It's a so-called continuity of government inside this mountain where if everything would go away, they got every department of government in this so-called Mount Weather. So they go up into heaven and try to build a space station, try to avoid the destruction. And even see when they try to hide out in the water too. I got the serpent talking about Leviathan, right? Godzilla's supposed to be based off of. He's gonna find you down there. So go underground, go in the mountains, go up into space, go under the water. You're not gonna get anywhere that you can't escape from.
No way out.
That actually goes along too with the song that David had in Psalm 139. Psalm 139. I'll just start from verse 7. And I'll read down to 10. So Psalm 139 in verse 7 it reads, once again, Psalm 139 verse 7, whither shall I go from thy spirit? Whither shall I flee from thy presence? If I ascend up into heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there shall thy hand lead me, and thy right hand shall hold. Once again, everything we read keeps going, but it's the second time we'll stop.
Yep. Speaking of the sixth time, coming. So I stopped at verse 10 in 2 Peter's. I meant to finish with 11 and 12. This is again 2 Peter's 3. I read verse 10, I'm reading 11 and 12. It says, seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all holiness, conversation, and godliness, looking forward and hasting unto the coming of the day of the power, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Right? So it's a rhetorical question. You know, saying that these things is going to happen, what type of person you're supposed to be in, right? We should know the answer as it pertains to keeping the will and following after the promise of the Most High in Yahushua. So now let's go back We have Wisdom of Solomon, the 6th chapter now. See if we can do this one judiciously and expeditiously. So now, chapter 6, verse 1. Hear therefore, O ye kings, and understand, learn ye that be judges of the ends of the earth. Right? So this is Solomon writing to the kings and judges of the earth, representing not just the kings that would now take the throne, but even just Israel as a whole, because we are being groomed to being the kings and rulers of the earth, right? We're going to be reigning with Yahushua. But before we get to that point, we now have to go through the grooming stage. We have to learn equity. We got to learn justice, right? Through the law. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 16. and 18. Deuteronomy chapter 16 and verse 18. Yakazak, you got that? 16 and 18. Read that, Baba Kushan.
Deuteronomy 16, verse 18. Judges and the fit and officers shall thou make thee in all thy gates, which the Lord thy God giveth thee throughout thy tribes, and they shall judge the people with just judgment.
And they shall judge the people with just judgment, right? So it was a commandment to make judges and officers throughout all our gates. So even not just the king, because we read that, in Deuteronomy was 17, as far as for we're not supposed to appoint anyone that's not of our nation over us. But then it also says that king that you set up, he's supposed to now have the law, and daily he's supposed to be reading and going through the law to rule with the Most High's law. So the same thing with the judges or the officers, right? They also have to follow the same law. Read the next verse.
And thou shalt not waste judgment.
Rest
Judgment, thou shalt not respect persons, nor take gifts for the gift to blind thy eyes of the wise and pervert the words of the righteous.
Right. So you're not supposed to be partial in judgment, right? You can't rest judgment. You can't have respect of persons nor take a gift. Now, this setup is that's all it's predicated on, right? That's all it's predicated on. When the lobbyists come, right, to lobby for certain things, it's all about one hand, wash the other hand, right? And that's at the high level. Then it goes all the way down to the low level. So when you in your communities, and now there's budgets that set aside for certain authorities, whether it be transportation, whether it be, water company, whether it be education, they start getting these funds, and the people that's sitting in the authority that has control of it, they start resting judgment on who should get the funds or where it should go and who should. That's wicked, right? And then somebody say, well, listen, if you do us a little favor, I give you a little bit more, right? Don't say nothing to nobody. Now, I was going to say, don't say nothing to nobody, right? That's what happens with the other nations and their justice. This is what Solomon is warning us by, to say that we can't be like them, right? Ye kings, understand, learn ye that be judges of the earth. You got to learn righteousness. You're being set up. We're being groomed. Go to Revelation chapter 5. Revelations 5. And 10. So Revelations 5 and 10 says, and has made us unto our God kings and priests, and we shall reign in the earth, or on the earth. So we're being groomed to be kings and priests, right? So now by being a king, sometimes people will greet each other, peace king, right? It's now giving honor to your brother, because this is what we're being groomed to be. So now if you're going to be kings and priests, you have to learn righteous judgment. You have to enforce the Lord's will. It cannot be like how, man rests judgment, right? Or is partial in judgment. So going back to Wisdom of Solomon. Oh, Salah.
Yeah, this is heavy because we read that when we go through the Old Testament, right? We're coming to the end of Kings now. With the every time we get a new king, we see whether they did right in the sight of the Lord or did evil. But you'll see how they only mentioned 3 that were told fully righteous. But you have many in the southern kingdom that were righteous, but it mentions that they left the high place.
Yeah.
It's like you're saying, you got to go all the way.
Yeah.
You can't just be, I'm going to be righteous for me in my house, but then allow it to persist still.
Right.
Whereas in the case of, say, David, Hezekiah, and Josiah, so they were righteous themselves, but they made sure everybody else was too.
Right. They went and stamped out people's memorials.
Right.
Took their sepulchres down, stamped out their bones in the dust and powder. Right. So that everybody can see. So now back in Wisdom of Solomon 6:2, it says, "Give ear, ye that rule the people, and glory in the multitude of the nations. For power is given you of the Lord, and sovereignty from the highest, who shall try your works and search out your counsels." Right? So now all of us is going to be tried based on our works. Right? Those who was kings, real rulers and judges back then, and those of us now who are being groomed to being the kings for the future. Right? Our works is what's going to be called into effect. You write down 1 Corinthians 3. 1 Corinthians, the 3rd chapter, and the 13th verse. "Every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire, and the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is. If any man's work abide through the fire, which he have built thereupon, he shall receive a reward." That fire is figurative, not literal, right? If you go through the furnace of adversity and your actions and your deeds stand through the test of time, people are accepting, or Most High is accepted of it, you'll receive a reward. Verse 15, 1 Corinthians chapter 3. "If any man's work shall be burned, he shall suffer loss, but he himself shall be saved, yet so as by fire." So if your work is going to be burned, like, how do you burn work? Like, if I went out there, so if I go out and do a good deed, like I gave a brother food, the food burned up? No. It's talking about your work did not stand the furnace. It got figuratively burned up. It was not accepted, right? So you failed the test. And when you fail, you're going to have to literally, figuratively, now go feel the judgment of the Most High. You'll be saved to the kingdom. You'll come back in regeneration. But that first wave, no, right? That's why Yahushua spoke about, anybody who advocates for the least of the commandments, to do and to teach men so and to break them, they shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven, right? Now, some will say, least in the kingdom of heaven, but I'm in the kingdom of heaven though. So, hey, so what you're trying to tell me is, if I teach that I can break the Sabbath and eat pork, I'll be in the kingdom of heaven, but the least man there, so I gotta go through what y'all going through? All right, I got a good option. I'm still gonna be in the kingdom. But they don't realize, yeah, but you're gonna have to go through the fire. You're gonna have to receive the judgment of the Most High. And your name will not be like the names of those who advocated for keeping the law, right? Just to say that you're the least, like you're the least person, you working at the door or whatever, where everyone's inside, you at the door. Okay, that's cool. No, your name is going to be shame. Shame. Just like how we read about certain men from the past, Ahab and all of them. You shake your head like, man, right? How he let her do that to him? How he let her convince him to go do that, man, to that brother, right? Shame is going to be on you, right? It's not going to. How would that look? Other men out here dying to keep this truth, dying to their last breath to advocate. You ain't doing a damn thing, but okay, you in here and you just You got the same name? Hell no, the Most High ain't rolling like that, right? You're like nothing compared to those righteous men and women who went and stood the test of time. That's why that's why these last days is important, because you want to have a good name in the kingdom, right? You want to have a name that stands, that people write about the new records, and the generations coming up reading about the records, like, yo, like with Esther, when they was going through the records, and they said, yo, did you see what Mordecai did? He in the record, right? You want to be in the record for righteous work. Y'all can never quiet.
Says like, the bind him hand and foot and throw him out.
Mm-hmm.
I had a question.
And I was just before you start, I quoted Matthew 5, Matthew chapter 5, verses 19 and 20. That's what I quoted for your house show.
So Ecclesiasticus 8 and 14. Is this a righteous judge or just a regular judge? It says, go not to law with a judge. For they,
You said Ecclesiasticus?
Yeah, Ecclesiasticus 8 and 14. It says, go not to law with a judge, for they will judge for him according to his honor.
So what's your question?
So is this a righteous judge or just a wicked judge or just an average judge in the world?
So if he's gonna judge for his honor,
Yeah,
that's wicked.
wicked.
Judge righteous judge.
Right.
But it ties into the law of Deuteronomy as far as how judges shouldn't be,
Right.
because if he's in a position, he's gonna be like, oh yeah, I know a little loophole I can pull, and other ways I can flip it to favor for me.
Because you're gonna have like how I just read in Deuteronomy about establishing judges and officers,
Yeah.
right? That spirit, just like how in Esau society, people cater or show favors to certain men, right? Where when they've done wrong, they get a pass. It's like, oh, you got money? If you got money and you brought up on charges, you get out of that. Just pay it off, right? Or some people know how to manipulate the law for their own good, right? They change the law or bend the law for their own good. It shouldn't be that way, right? So you can't, in the sense of the law here, it's not the Most High's law, because the Most High's law it has no respect of persons, right? That's what we just read in Deuteronomy 16. Most High law don't have no respect of persons. So if this person did it or that person did it, wrong is wrong, righteous is righteous, right? We've always been exhorted to not care about a person's position or authority.
If it helps some, if you go into the beginning of Ecclesiasticus, it tells you they were Alexandrian Jews, kind of like Apollos was years later. So there was like a community of Jews living in Egypt, keeping the laws, but they interacted with the Greeks, right? Who had their way, and yet the Egyptians were still there too, like the Mizraimites. So it was like 3 different cultures there that kind of dominated that city of Alexandria. But it was us, it was the Egyptians and the Greeks. So you just think about that sometimes read Ecclesiasticus, you read about kind of what they're saying at that time. But those spirits are here now.
Mm-hmm.
Those same spirits, those same government styles are still here now as far as the Greek way, as far as the Egyptian way. So.
And sadly, even in some camps, that same spirit, because you'll have some people who, as they say, manipulate scriptures for their own benefit. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, sometimes you have to be sincere, honest. When wrong is wrong, it is what it is, right? Sometimes what happens is you don't want to be wrong in the face of people, right? And that's why that those laws came up as far as for not cursing out or bringing certain charges to the king, because it's like, yo, man, that look bad. putting the king like that on Front Street, right? That's why I admire how Judith went to the elders of the people. She didn't do it in front of everybody. She didn't chastise them in front of everybody. She called them in private. Like, yo, come here. What y'all did was wrong. You'll be tempted the most. So she did it in private. It wasn't something that, you going out there like, what's the Benjamite? Cursing out David. Cursing out David in front of everybody. And his man was ready to fall on that cat, man. Because that was bad. But
bloody man.
yeah, he didn't do it wisely or choose the quorum.
Thou art a bloody man.
Curse the king.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say when we were talking about
Bloody man.
the people of Israel that have the spirit of I just want to be a doorman. Just being a doorman is all right with me. It's a spirit,
Right.
and that we all should try to fight. I'm not trying to fight because it's escaping work and responsibility. If I just if I'm there, I'm there.
Right.
It's like you're in a classroom. You just there. You don't do no homework. You just do the bare minimum just so you get past the class.
Right.
Right.
You get a C.
Yeah. As long as I get a C, that's what that means. You don't take that work really on a high level. You just want to be there, but the reward of being in there. You just don't want to lose that. You just want to be there. Right. But you're not gonna do much. You're just gonna escape responsibility here and there. So you gotta fight that. It's a tempting spirit.
But King David said that.
What?
Be a doorkeeper.
Yeah.
No, we're not saying it's wrong.
No. King David, like you said, he didn't defect. King David's being humble. Right? You have some. That's why Yahushua gave a parable about when there's a banquet, don't go look to be in the high seat. Right? Go somewhere, and then somebody calls you up. Right? King David not going out there saying, "Yo, when I get in the kingdom, I'm going to be back on the throne. I'll be doing it." He was a humble brother. Right? So he's like, "Yo, if I could just be the doorman there, I'm good." But he never looked at himself as to say that he was wicked in the wicked. He was just humble in front of the eyes of the Most High. He always prayed. When you read throughout the Psalms, he always constantly praying for the Most High to come and minister and exhort and protect them, and how all different types of adversities and trials and things he was going through, right? But he humbled himself before the Lord. I'm not saying, when I get in the kingdom, I want to be in the second row. I know I ain't gonna be in the first row, but I want to be the second row. If I'm at the Passover in the kingdom of Yahushua, I want to be like, I'm gonna be humble, man. I'm not gonna be proud, because that carries a spirit, right? A lot of times when people start thinking of themselves more than what they are, then it's gonna be a ruin.
I want to be in your right hand, your right and left hand.
Yeah, I want to be on the right. I'm gonna be the right hand of you when I get there. He's like, "Are you sure? You know what you asking? Do you know what you talking about? Right? Nah, be humble, man." Right.
I'm glad we're talking about this. Maybe because sometimes we might understand certain things in the scriptures or misunderstand things in the scriptures. We look at it the wrong way. And just by us hearing the scripture brought out a different way, it changed our perspective. But here's the verse to put things in perspective as far as why he said that. Psalms 84:10. It reads, "For a day in thy courts is better than 1,000. I'd rather be a doorkeeper in the house of my God than to dwell in the tents of wickedness." That's the context.
Right.
It's like, let me at least, like I always make the metaphor, if I make junior varsity, at least I make the team. I'm going for varsity. But if I make JV, I'm happy because I made the team.
Right.
But I wasn't saying, let me just barely make JV. That wasn't the goal.
Right.
But I'm happy if I made JV.
Right.
That's what he's saying here, same thing. If I just be a doorkeeper, that's my guy. I'd rather be that low level as opposed to being in the tent of wickedness and being excellent.
Right.
It's like that scripture in Hebrews talking about Moses, instead of what do you call it, living lavish in Egypt for a season. I forget what word exactly. He preferred to be with his people, struggling, as opposed to being high up in Egypt. He was high up. He said he cast that away to be with his people. Okay.
And also, that's what when I was making the comment. I said he knows the privilege of just being in the kingdom, right? Because he's still gonna be okay. All Israel are gonna be good in the kingdom. but he knows the consequences of not being in the kingdom at all. So he just don't want to miss that. He just don't want to be out. So that's the spirit of just want to be. Because even with David, he still strive, right, for perfection by keeping the law and by doing the most that he should be doing.
Right. Because, I'm glad that Kahan pulled out the whole context of that verse, because a doorkeeper is not one of the sought after things, right? Positions. Because imagine if you had, when you hearing all of the things that's going on inside, you at the door, that's not one of the most sought after positions, but you'll do it, right? It has to be done, right? If I need to do it, then I have to do it, but I'd rather be inside. But now, compared to the tents of wickedness, you may have the Met Gala, all these different, events and things that are now prominent today. I'd rather be at the door of than to go in any one of them things, man. I'd rather that than that.
At least I see big people coming in and out.
Exactly. And you got it's a lot of so-called famous, rich, highly esteemed in this society people that's in there rubbing elbows, that people die to get into those rooms. Right? People selling their souls to get in those rooms, to be inside of those tents, those tabernacles, to be mixed up with them. Right? And he's like, look, put me at the door, man. If I had a choice, I'll do that. Like, yo, man, you see all the people in? I don't care. You had that. Put me right there at that door of the Most High's tabernacle. I'd rather, like you said, I see righteous people walking in and out than these heat, all kind of stuff is going on over here. It would vex my spirit.
Right. You hear that like these different TV shows talking about angels and devils and stuff like that. They'll say, you can't hear that expression. I'd rather be a king in hell than be a servant in heaven. Live it up, in this place, as opposed to, take a knee and then be lowly, but in a righteous place. This is the verse I was talking about in Hebrews chapter 11 and 25, talking about Moses. It says, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. That's the verse I was talking about as far as him walking away from Egypt.
God. All right, so let's go back. Let's kind of get through this. 6. Where did I stop at? Verse 4. It says, because being ministers of his kingdom, ye have not judged aright, nor kept the law, nor walked after the counsel of the Most High power. Horribly and speedily shall he come upon you, for a sharp judgment shall be to them that be in high places. For mercy. So now the Lord Solomon is chastising the men. And like Kahan said, you can go down the long laundry list of kings on both sides, Judah and Israel, that have not executed judgment. And then you can just go to those who are now supposed to be rulers and judges themselves, princes, heads of the people, right? That have also not done right. It says, for mercy will soon pardon the meanest, but mighty men shall be mightily tormented, right? So the Most High, his mercy is infinite. He can pardon, the worst sin or the worst iniquity, but mighty men shall be mightily tormented, meaning those who are wrapped up in sin, those who are supposed to be heads of the people, they're going to be dealt with harshly by the Lord, because as your king or as your leader or as your judges, the people are going to follow suit, right? So they impart and they allow iniquity and things to fester, so the Lord will now make them as an example. Verse 7. For he which is Lord over all feareth no man's person, neither shall he stand in awe of any man's greatness. For he hath made the small and great, and careth for all alike, right? So the Most High is not a person that just because you're Josiah, you got a name and you're adorned, or you're David, 1,000 upon 1,000, that he's going to curtsy to you. You're his creation, right? He cares no man a person. You can link that with Job 34. 34 and 19. So it says, how much less to him that accepted not the persons of princes, nor regarded the rich more than the poor, for they all are the work of his hands, right? So the work of his hands is the Most High's created all alike, and he does not cater one over another. Second Chronicles chapter 19. Second Chronicles chapter 19 and verse 6. Second Chronicles 19 and 6, it says, and said to the judge, I'll start at 5. And he set judges in the land throughout all the fenced cities of Judah, city by city, and said to the judges, take heed what ye do, for ye judge not for man, but for Yahweh, who is with you in the judgment. Wherefore now let the fear of the Lord be upon you. Take heed and do it. For there is no iniquity with the Lord our power, nor respect of persons, nor taking of gifts, right? So you can't bribe the Most High, right? The Most High don't take bribes. The Most High knows your heart and your spirit and how things are done.
This was King Joseph.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What verse is this again?
That was Second Chronicles chapter 19.
No, this verse. The verse of the where is?
Oh, 7. We have verse 8 now.
I just want to read one thing.
Oh, you got one?
Job chapter 3, verse 19. He said, the small and great are there, and the servant is free from his master. So, you know, everybody, when you go into the grave, like everybody's there. You know, rich and the poor, small, you know, small, great, they all end up in the same place in the spirit world. So I just want to say that.
So as it say, everybody's there in the third heaven. There's no respect of persons in the third heaven.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no separate place or whatever. You know, just everybody's dying, go to the same place.
You could also write down Numbers chapter 25, example how the Most High will judge the mighty or those who are in position of authority. This is Numbers 25 and 4. Numbers 25 and 4. And Yahweh said unto Moses, take all the heads of the people and hang them up before the Lord against the sun, that the fierce anger of the Lord may be turned away from Israel. And Moses said unto the judges of Israel, slay ye every one of his men that were joined unto Baal Peor. Right? So the Lord will make an example of you, especially you mighty men or the heads of the people. Right? And you know, that's what I always say, you cut the head off, hang them up before the Lord against the sun as an example, a testimony. Right? Israel did that. You know, Judas Maccabees with Nicanor cut off his shoulder and his head, and he hanged it up on the tower so that everybody can see when they walk through. Didn't they say who used to do that? Dracula? Yes, Vlad the Impaler. Known as, yes, he would go and have people hung up on the path, and people see on the path going into his dwelling places. You would see that and you'd be like, yo, yeah. Something I don't know if we want to go over there. This guy got bodies hanging up, man. Yeah. So going back, Wisdom of Solomon 6, we have verse 9 now. Unto you, therefore, kings, do I speak, that you may learn wisdom and not fall away. For they that keep holiness holy shall be judged holy. And they that have learned such things shall find what to answer. Right? So if you keep the holiness separate, keep it sacred, then the Most High will work that work with you in that day, in that time. Then as you learn more, as it says here, and they that have learned such things, learned about this wisdom, shall find what to answer. You can write down Colossians chapter 4. And verse 6. Colossians 4 and 6 says, let your speech be always with grace, seasoned with salt, that you may know how you ought to answer every man. Right? So, like Hamad Shah was asking last night, what happened to somebody come up to you and say, Happy Thanksgiving? Right? You gotta let your speech season with salt. Speech always with grace, seasoned with salt, that ye may know how ye ought to answer every man. Right? Because every person may not get the same answer based on the person, the situation, whatever. But with wisdom, you'll know how to answer every person. When you learn, right, when you take the testimonies and examples, you learn how to operate. So that was for verse 10, Colossians 4 and 6. Let's go back. Verse 11 now.
I got a verse, sorry.
Oh, okay, good.
First we go with Colossians 4 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
You said that was something came up yesterday.
What? No, remember Manashah was asking the question. What happens? Oh, he wasn't on. I think he was on. He was asking the question as far as for what happens if somebody says Happy Thanksgiving? Like, what's your response? So the response is knowing how to answer every person. And sometimes the responses vary depending on time, who it is, where you at, those types of things.
Yeah, it was Jude 22 and 23.
Book of Jude 22 and verses 22 and 23.
Yeah. And so our warfare is mostly with our words and teach.
Mm-hmm.
First verse dealing with the direct, the indirect versus the direct context, if you would. So Jude 22, it reads, and as some have compassion, making a difference, right? Some take the more indirect approach. They go into their backstory, figure out what their seed is as far as the parable of the sower to see what the temptation might be. We'll make fun of it now. Women say to men a lot of times they're mad about something the woman said to them. Oh my God, hurt you. You say that. But sometimes you want to find out what happened. Were you scarred by the Christian church, the Islamic mosque? Like something bad happened. It has nothing to do with the doctrine itself, right? Or maybe you like what the doctrine allows you to do as opposed to other doctrines. Find that out first. Genesis 23. And others say with fear, pulling him out of the fire, hating him in the garment spotted by the flesh. So others get in the war right away. Yo, man, you gotta stop saying it. You gotta stop doing it. If you do that, Christ comes back, he's gonna light your behind on fire, straight up. Huh? It's funny because you hear people say, "Oh, you can't talk to folks like that," but other folks, that's what they needed. I'll tell you the opposite. Yo, I'm glad the brother came to me like that. I needed to hear it that way. But people who don't want to hear it that way want to be Jude 22. They act like everybody is like that. It's like, no. Some people, the indirect will get them in. Others, the direct gets them in. So it's not always the same. They don't always see the world through your lens. Because everyone's not like you.
Remember Django? He said, you can go. Yeah, you go. And they did. The ladies run and they ran out. But he said, not you. To Samuel Jackson said, not you, you stay here.
Yeah, I was trying to connect it.
No, like we said, some people you gotta like, you know, kind of look okay, but some people you gotta say a little harsh and like look, you gotta stop doing what you're doing right now. You gotta stop it. You know, coming direct. You know, trying to save everybody, but sometimes some people you gotta tell them like right away to stop. You know, to stop that. And so, oh, you can't talk to that person like that or whatever. You know.
Okay, so compassion for some,
Yeah.
judgment for others.
Yeah. Like Jack, when he lets some of them go, and you know, for Jack, you know, for Samuel Jackson character, he said, "Nah, you stay right here, cause you can get your judgment right, you know, right now."
All right, so we have verse 11 now. Wisdom of Solomon 6:11. It says, "Wherefore set your affections upon my words, desire them, and ye shall be instructed." You can link that with Colossians 3:2, where it says, "Set your affections on things above, not on things on the earth," right? Which is, you know, set your affection on the Most High, His will, and you'll be well instructed. So that was Colossians 3:2. Verse 12. "Wisdom is glorious and never fadeth away. Yeah, she is easily seen of them that love her and found of such as seek her." Right? So if you seek wisdom, then you're going to be able to receive blessings, understandings, things if you seek. Because now when you seek something, that means you're putting your effort and your energy and your time and your care into that for what you're looking for. Right? So that's what if you seek wisdom, for those who now have been open, because you could be out in the world and like, yo, I want to learn, right? And you're going to be learning a whole bunch of stuff. Right? You're going to be in Egyptology, you're going to be in anthropology, you're going to be in a whole bunch of things. But once you come in this truth, you now have to seek wisdom, right? You have to desire it, right? You can write down Psalms 119. Psalms 119 and 2. "Blessed are they that keep his testimonies and that seek him with the whole heart," right? Not partial, not half-assed, just, you know, you really set aside time to seek the Most High. Proverbs chapter 8. That was Psalms 119 and 2. Proverbs 8. And 17. Actually, I'm going to start at 12. Proverbs 8:12 says, "I, wisdom, dwell with prudence and find out knowledge of witty invention." So wisdom, you know, goes into everything, right? 7:12. Wisdom of Solomon. Proverbs 8:12, where it says, "I, wisdom, dwell with prudence and find out knowledge of witty inventions." Then we jump down to verse 17. "I," this is wisdom, "love them that love me, and those that seek me early shall find me." Right? So you got to put time and dedication in to seeking wisdom or knowledge. Right? So that was Proverbs 8:17. Jump a few chapters forward. 8:12 and 17. Proverbs 8:12 and 17. And if you jump to chapter 18 and 15, "The heart of the prudent getteth knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeketh knowledge." Right? So seeking means reading, studying, right? Meditation, right? Fasting, prayers. Those are all the ways in how you seek knowledge, seek wisdom, right? Reading, studying, fasting, meditating, like it says in Joshua 1:8. Applying, right? That's how you seek, because with the application comes experience. Like it talks about in Romans, the 5th chapter, verses 3 on down, right? That's how you get experience. Let's go back to Wisdom of Solomon 6. We have verse 13 now. She prevented them that desire her in making herself first known unto them, right? It says she prevented them that desire her, because we read before how wisdom first proves you, right? You're just not going to just meet wisdom and that's it.
She's gonna do herself.
Yeah, she's gonna just be cavalier and just say, "Yeah, here am I." No, wisdom says that she will prove you and torment you, right? She will torment you with her law, with her ways, right? Go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 4. And if you're not worthy, you ain't ready, wisdom is gone.
You ready? She's gonna play hard to get.
Yeah, wisdom will play hard to get in the beginning, right? Ecclesiasticus chapter 4 and 16. So Ecclesiasticus 4:16. If a man commit himself unto her, he shall inherit her, and his generation shall hold her in possession. For at the first she will walk with him by crooked ways, and bring fear and dread upon him, and torment him with her discipline, until she may trust his soul and try him by her laws. So that's how wisdom is going to prove you. It's going to weed out those who ain't worthy, right? That's why in the beginning of Wisdom of Solomon, the 1st chapter, it says, "Into a malicious soul, wisdom shall not enter." Right? Because now here you coming in, and all of a sudden you're trying to learn, but you got wickedness all prevalent going on. Wisdom like, I'm out of here, man. This guy's not trying to change. I'm out. Right? So wisdom will walk with you at the beginning through crooked ways, bring fear and dread and torment to see if you still standing there, if you still will be there. That's like how they say in marriage, and sickness and sickness and in health, right? You're there for the good and the bad. Can't leave when things get bad in your marriage. You got to stay there. You got to weather the storm. Once you weather the storm, it's like, yo, we building a good bond here, right? So that's what wisdom wants to see. If you're going to be there, wisdom will put adversity up front. Wisdom like, yo, we're going to start off with your parents wilding out on you, your kids wilding out on you, your everybody in the community pointing fingers at you, whispering behind you, talking about, right? They're not giving you the hours you want. They ain't giving you that day off. What you doing, right? It's going to see how you're going to handle it. Yeah. So that was Ecclesiasticus 4, 16 and 17. You can read further down, but I'll stop right there. So now back in Wisdom of Solomon 6, we have verse 14 now. Whoso seeketh her early shall have no great travail, but he shall find her sitting at his doors, right? So if you labor, if you do the right thing, if you put time in the beginning, wisdom will walk with you and continue with you. And you won't have much to worry about, right? Like when we talk about the destruction of things that's coming, you learn why it's coming. You learn what's coming, why it's coming, and how to escape, right? So that's why you're not going to find that travail. Verse 15, to think therefore upon her is perfection of wisdom, and whoso watcheth for her shall quickly be without care, right? So you won't have to worry about cares of the world, right? You don't have to worry about those things that people in the world worry about. Where am I going to get this? What's going to happen? No, wisdom is going to teach you and show you all those things. Verse 16, for she goeth about seeking such as are worthy of her. Oh. For 15 or 14? Okay.
Real quick, Daniel chapter 10, verse 12. He has been fasting pretty much for 3 weeks, kind of like with Ezra. And the angel came to him.
Daniel's 10 and 12.
Yeah, the angel says this to him, right? Then said he unto me, fear not Daniel, for from the first day that thou didst set thy heart to understand, and the chasteness of the spoken of God, thy words were heard, and I am come for thy word. So we go to like history of Susanna, we see Daniel's humble beginnings, right? As a youth back then, right? We had that back history. Previous the angels tell him, like, yo, we've been watching you for a while, right? With great promise, right? And you haven't disappointed. He's already, a grown older man at this point. Just showing, like you said, for those that start early, the wisdom's right there with them.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Nathaniel's legacy, we need not mention his legacy. We have it, right? To read from him.
Good. So reading on, we have verse 16. That was Daniel's 10 and 12. The verses 14 and 15. But now we have verse 16. It says, for she goeth about seeking such as are worthy of her, showing herself favorably unto them in the ways, and meeteth them in every thought. Right? So sometimes, after the proving of a spirit, then it says, she showeth herself favorably unto them in the ways, and meeteth them in every thought. So if your thought, you want to be in unison with wisdom, right? Like this is what wisdom will say. I'm going to say the same thing. Like I was already thinking that wisdom was already there with you. So y'all walking in the same path together in harmony. It says, verse 17, for the very true beginning of her is the desire of discipline, and the care of discipline is love, right? So you have to be disciplined in this truth. Go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 32. Ecclesiasticus 32. Kind of goes with the theme of what we're reading here. Ecclesiasticus 32 and 14. Whoso fear the Lord will receive his discipline. Right? The fear of the Lord is wisdom. So if you fear the Lord, you will receive discipline. Right? And they that seek him early shall find favor. So discipline comes with the keeping of the Most High's laws, day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year. And it becomes part of your every day. That's the first thing you think about. Is when you make decisions, you're thinking about the Lord's will and leveraging wisdom to make the right decision, or the right answer, or the right choice.
And the reason why it's discipline, and it's because if you fear the Lord, is you will not disobey when you don't want to do it, when you know that's what you should be doing. Because that's pretty much what discipline implies. You do it whether you feel like it or not, because you know it's the right thing to do. Sometimes you may not, I don't want to do it, but you know what? I'm gonna do it anyway because that's the right thing.
Right.
18 and 14.
Say again.
Same book, 18 and 14.
Ecclesiasticus 18, 14.
Where it reads, he had mercy on them that receive discipline and that diligently seek after his judgment.
Right. I'm going to read the opposite, right? This is Baruch chapter 4 and verse 12. Baruch 4:12. Let no man rejoice over me, a widow and forsaken of many, who for the sins of my children am left desolate, because they departed from the law of the Most High Power. So this is like in the spirit Israel, the land, speaking about the departure of the children of Israel because we broke the commandments. It says in verse 13, they knew not his statutes, nor walked in his ways of his commandments, nor trod in the paths of discipline in his righteousness. So in the righteousness or in the law is where you find discipline. How do you find it? By, like Paquan said, by the application. You got to be a doer of the word and not a hearer only. James 1:22, or else you be deceiving your own self. So that's how you learn or become to exude the virtues of discipline from the Most High.
Said you mentioned James.
Which one is James?
122?
Huh?
122?
Yeah. So reading on back in Wisdom of Solomon 6 and where am I? We're verse 18 now. It says, and love is the keeping of her laws, and the giving heed unto her laws is the assurance of incorruption, right? 1 John 5:3, for this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments. And then incorruption, or the assurance of incorruption, you read about that's what we're going to be changed into. That's our reward. 1 Corinthians, the 14th chapter, verse 51, all the way down to the end, right? 1 Corinthians 15 chapter, verse 51, somebody get the door, all the way down to the end, goes into as far as for how we're going to beat death or sin by the not sinning or breaking the Most High's commandments, right? So now we're going to read on in verse 19, and incorruption maketh us near unto Yahweh, right? So in that same 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter, matter of fact, go to that real quick. It says that makes us near unto Yahweh. 1 Corinthians 15 and verse 53. So 1 Corinthians 15:53, for this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible shall put on incorruption, and this mortal shall put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass that the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. So we get the victory when we put on incorruption. Day by day, you could be made to be incorruptible by just keeping the commandments. Knowing that we're going to fall from here and there, but our desire is to be perfect in trying to keep this law. And that's how we draw closer to the Most High, because he said in 1 Samuel 15:22, to obey is better than the sacrifice. That's why I just want you to just do what I asked you to do. Right? So now going back, we have verse 20. Therefore, the desire of wisdom bringeth to a kingdom, right? Thy kingdom come, right? Thy will be done, as it says in Matthew 6:9 on down, right? Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. The will is the laws or the truth of the Lord. And by doing that, that's how we bring in the kingdom. Verse 21, if your delight be then in thrones and scepters, O ye kings of the people, honor wisdom that ye may reign forevermore. That's your desire, that we're going to get the kingdom, right? Be like King Solomon did in the beginning. When he knew that he was going to be set up as a king, he didn't look for riches and silver and gold. He didn't want armies, and he just wanted wisdom to rule the people, right? And then when he said that, the Most High said that thou hast spoken well, right? He's going to give you the wisdom that surpassed everybody. And then he gave him those things that he didn't ask for, that most kings desire anyway. So that's the same thing here. If your delight be in thrones and in scepters or rulerships, O ye kings or rulers or judges of the people, honor wisdom that ye may reign forevermore. So that's what we do now, right? Like I said, we expressly call each other king, but in order to fulfill that name, that title, you have to honor wisdom. Verse 22, as for wisdom, what she is and how she came up, I will tell you, and I will not hide mysteries from you, but will seek her out from the beginning of her nativity and bring the knowledge of her into light, and will not pass over the truth. So Solomon is like, look, as for wisdom, I'm not going to hide anything. As much as I know, I'm gonna let y'all know, right? Because it says in the next verse, neither will I go with consuming envy, for such a man shall have no fellowship with wisdom, right? Because sometimes people get knowledge or information. You know what they want to do with it? They want to hide it. They want it to only benefit them, right? That's why when you read later on in Ecclesiastes, because it talks about a niggard at his table, Niggard, right? That person is envious of his own money, his own food. He's a hoarder, right? He doesn't want to share with anything. So I'm like, listen, I'm not going to be envious, right? I'm not going to be a consuming envy to just keep this. I'm going to let y'all know everything. So that's why we have the Proverbs and Ecclesiastes and the wisdom of Solomon. So what he learned, he now said, I'm going to give it to you. Go to Matthew chapter 10. That's what they do in the world. I saw making that joke before when the sister was like, yo, you meet somebody who's established? Like, yo, how did you do that? Yo, I put a lot of time, hard work, and effort in. Yeah, I get that. But like, what did you do step by step? Well, you gotta really, apply yourself. That's what you gotta do. You gotta apply yourself, right? You're beating around the bush. Like, yeah, I get that, but like show me, like, what did I do? What LLC do I need to get an LLC? Do I need to go take this class? Do I need to go? Yeah, you gotta really, put your best foot forward. You're like, come on, man. What we talking about here? You don't want to tell me, right? They wanted to keep it all for themselves. So Matthew.
It's like they make fun of the Hollywood people get in shape for a role. They say, oh, how'd you get in shape so quick for that role? Oh, chicken and broccoli. It's like, okay, chicken and broccoli, but
some people want to make, money from it.
no, the chicken and broccoli will help you, but they're really not telling the joke is like chicken and broccoli translation. I think steroids.
Yeah.
Do drugs.
Sometimes people want to make money from it,
Of course.
Wisdom.
Right.
Oh, you gotta pay me to come hear me speak.
Right. That's like what in the Acts, the man was like, yo, how'd y'all do that? Sell me this.
So, Simon the Sorcerer.
Yeah, because they said, I'm gonna make some money off this damn thing right here, man. Right? So yeah. That's how man in society thinks when they get wisdom or knowledge about a certain craft. How can I make money off of it?
And I was watching this guy. He said, "You doing community service? Tell people how to do this, how to make money." But he said, "But stuff that I really get paid for, I don't tell you here." Because I would never tell you stuff that I really get paid for
Right
here.
Right.
That's part of like the worldly wisdom, right? It's like I forget the expression is exactly, but it's like you never show your whole hand, which from a righteous standpoint does apply sometimes. Like don't reveal everything when it comes to like certain situations. But from that perspective, it's just like you're bringing that now. It's just hoarding. Like you're not showing anybody the way. At least let them walk the way, but at least show them the way. But let them be the ones that decide to walk. Right. And you see it. With a lot of these secret societies, these brotherhoods and things like that, you always have this whole, bottleneck on information, right? To be one, ask one. You have to be initiated before you can be, brought into the secret brotherhood. Like you see that kind of ingrained on like a lot of things in society. When you actually find out what the secret is, it's like that's all it was. Really?
Yeah, just like in social media. A lot of our videos we post out there, we put it out there for free, but some people might even be watching it and making notes and doing their own thing. Yeah, they have this great knowledge and they have like say pay to see them or whatever, and their wisdom. And it's like, in their mind they're watching us, but we put a lot of stuff on social media, right? So we wanted to spread out, for our people to get it, but other people are watching us too. They're higher up, they're watching us. It's like, wow, they breaking it down like how do they know all of this stuff? Like, where did they go? You know, what school and all that stuff? They get this from. You know?
Oh, one last point. I'm trying to finish. It's almost like a reversal. You know, scripture, certain proverbs, they'll kind of, the way it's worded will be flipped. Like in Ecclesiasticus, it says like a fool's mind is in his mouth, whereas a wise man's mouth is in his mind, kind of thing. But you can look at it that way when it comes to our wisdom versus the wisdom of the world, to be, you know, initiated into one of their, you know, elite brotherhoods or whatever. Theirs is like known by many but available to few. In other words, they put this stuff out there in movies, books, cartoons, right? But then it's available to few. We get to be initiated to know what they know. Whereas with us, ours is available to many. We put it out there. Christ told us to shout on the rooftops. Yet still, it's known by few. Everyone can't see it, even though we put it out there. So when they look at our mystery, it's almost like a shame. Like, oh my God, how you guys giving up everything like that? But from our perspective, we know we're putting it out there, but we know even you, Mr. Initiated, whatever degree you are, even you won't be able to see it, even though I'm putting it out there for all to see.
Wow.
So like the mysteries are kind of like reversed as far as how ours work versus how their so-called mystery work. That's like another class. That's a class in itself. That's the general idea.
Matthew 10:8.
Come on, Matthew 10:8. It says, heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out devils. Freely ye have received, freely give. Right? So this truth came freely to us by the Most High, from the Most High. Right? So we can't charge somebody for this wisdom that's not our own. Right? To pay somebody to come hear me speak, like how they do in the world. Right? You want him to come do a lecture, you got to pay him $49.99 to come hear him at the lecture hall or whatever. No, this is freely given to us. We freely give to everyone else. So that's what Solomon was saying. He's not, doing it with as a consuming envy that he wants to hoard this. He's going to go find out. And what he finds out, he's going to let us know. And that's what the writings in this book and in the other ones is pertaining to, is what he learned over time. Ecclesiastes, what he learned about wisdom, the grief that he learned when seeking out wisdom. He's like, yo, I didn't know, man, that in my quest to find this, that I was going to see that. And it brought me grief. Dang. Because now I'm seeing the travail. I'm seeing the downfall and the iniquities of us and how the Lord looked at us. Man, it hurt me, right? Josiah and the rest of them, how they felt when they came back. So all of that, he was able to share with us.
Right. I was going to say also, at the same time, it says, cast not your pearl before swine. So you got to balance it out at the same time. Right.
When there's somebody rejects this, right? Because you're casting out swirls before your pearls before swine can be anybody, right? Because you're gonna have circumstances where your people are gonna also be blaspheming against the word, tearing down this. So, and you standing there going back. Yahushua said the harvest is plenteous. You don't need to waste your time and energy with someone who's gonna just tarnish or not, value this gem that we have, right? So, good contentious, like, debates and things like that for the time is good. But when somebody's just like, man, that garbage, and they go in this, like, show me, what do you think about this? Like, why do you feel the way you do? And they understand to a certain point, and you could just see it in their spirit, they just don't want to deal with it. Cast the dust, kick the dust, move on to the next.
Right? Matthew 7:6.
Yeah, I'll read that real quick. Matthew 7:6 says, give not that which is holy unto the dogs, neither cast ye your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn again and rend you. Right. All right. So now back in Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6, we at verse 24 now. But the multitude of the wise is the welfare of the world, and a wise king is the upholding of the people. right? So the multitude of the wise is the welfare of the world. So you have a lot of wise men that's going out there and a lot of wise men that have gone out there to teach this truth, to try to correct our brothers and sisters, raise us up the right way according to the Most High. Then, that's the welfare of the world. The world is talking about us as a people, not the whole world, because we already know the judgment that the Most High has. But it says, but the welfare of the wise is the welfare of the world. But the multitude of the wise is the welfare of the world, and a wise king is the upholding of the people, right? So, like, was mentioned before, when you look at the kings of Israel, all of them was wicked, and we seen what type state the people were in. We looked at the kingdom of Judah. You had several that were righteous, 3 that never defected, others that started off righteous but then waned before their end. And you see what that led to us as a people. We began to now give ourselves over to these false gods and idol worship. So it says, receive therefore instructions through my words, and it shall do you good. Right? So with wisdom, Solomon is now trying to exhort us and instruct us from what he learned. He's now giving it to us. So if we bow down our ear, I think it says that in Ecclesiasticus chapter 3. Ecclesiasticus chapter 3. I thought it was 3. Maybe it's not 3.
What does it say?
About bow down. No, it's 6. Ecclesiasticus chapter 6. I'm gonna start at 32. It says, my son, if thou wilt, thou shalt be taught, and if thou wilt apply thy mind, thou shalt be prudent. If thou love to hear, thou shalt receive understanding. And if thou bow thine ear, thou shalt be wise. Right? Stand in the multitude of the elders and cleave unto him that is wise. And wise comes from the wisdom of the Most High. Right? So that's the exhortation, that we always try to surround ourselves with wise men and seek unto wisdom so that you can attain her. Any other comments, precepts for Wisdom of Solomon, the 2nd chapter?
24. For verse 24, that's Proverbs 20 and verse 28.
So for verse 24, Proverbs 20 and 28.
It reads, mercy and truth preserve the king, and his throne is upholden by mercy.
Done.
Proverbs 20 and verse 28.
All right, so there's no other scriptures, precepts. This concludes today's Sabbath service lesson. Next week will be in the Old Testament. I think it's the last, was it 2 Kings 25, 1 Chronicles chapter 1. All right, so next week is going to be 2 Kings chapter 25, 1 Chronicles chapter 1 for next week's Sabbath service lesson. Also, remember that tonight, sundown here on the East Coast, at about 4:30, somewhere around there, will be the new moon, the 9th new moon. So it'll be the first day of the new month, where we will always look to keep the Sabbath service in honor of the month, because we know we have a high holy day coming up in this 9th month, but it's also a form of worship to the Most High on the days that He's given us. So again, I didn't even have the banner going for the class. Missed out on all of that. It's a lot. Yeah, missed up on that. Should have had that scrolling. Now I gotta have it scrolling just so I can just have it scrolling just before we close out. Yeah. So again, new moon tonight, sundown. I sure was doing it, but most High's will start somewhere around 7:30, 8 o'clock. We'll do a service on that, and then have a feast, and then remembering that the feast of the rededication of the altar is coming up in this month, December. The opening, as was mentioned in the class last night, is on the 24th of December, so-called New Year's Eve. The 24th of December. I mean, Christmas Eve till New Year's Eve, and then the 31st is New Year's Eve for the closing. Yeah. So, see, that's how all that stuff is out of my mind, man. I ain't paying attention to them those old folly days, but in the world, we knew it to be that. But it's going to be on the 24th sundown is the opening service for the feast of the rededication of the altar. So now you ain't got no excuse. Right? Somebody's like, yo, you coming by? You know, I gotta be at the feast of the rededication of the altar that night. Right? We celebrating the whole day. Right? And then for New Year's Eve, there's no excuse. Nobody talking about something, they about to go watch such and such drop. No, nah. You gotta be keeping the closing of the feast of the rededication of the altar. Right? So, sometimes it overlaps, and then it shows where your heart is, right?
So at work, or people in the world say happy holidays, you say, yeah, happy holy days to you too. They go, what? What do you mean? Happy holy day. Yeah, happy holy day. Dedication.
So reading from Love God Help Us. I've been stranded with my daughter So love God. I'm not sure who you are. We may be, I don't know where you live. What you say? But yeah, we got to try the spirit by the spirit. He might be a righteous brother or sister. I'm not sure if it's a brother or sister, but we would have to do some due diligence and communicate with you to understand, who you are and what your spirit is and what's going on with you. So, we put the numbers up to the school, or you can contact us to communicate a little bit more with you so that we can find out what's going on. Most High's will, you'd be here in Philly. That way we can actually reach out face to face, come check you out, and see how we can help. So stay tuned, and I'll see how we can link up with you to find out what's going on. As always, as we call it, house cleaning. For those who do want to participate and communicate with us in the classes, this is our teleconference line on Tuesdays and Fridays, 7 to 10. It's a access call with a PIN, 667-770-1085, with the PIN number 521-455 for those who want to dial in. We prefer, however, that those who do want to participate in the classes join through the Zoom call, profitabletalks.com. That way we can also see each other where we're at and communicate that way as if we're physically in the classes. But either way is possible. And again, those two, if you're not here in the area, and if you're not able to make it physically down here at the school on 3826 Germantown Avenue in Philadelphia, PA, if you do that, then that will be also welcome to come physically sit here and fellowship with us in the class. For those who do want to make donations to the Most High's truth, please make all your checks and money order, and please make sure you make it out Ha Yashar ala Kanas. Sometimes I get portions of it, and I gotta try to see if the banks is going to clear it, because sometimes they're very specific and particular about the writings in the check. So it has to be Ha Yashar ala Kanas, right? It literally says the Israel congregation, but it's the congregation of Israel. It has to be spelled out that way with the address 3826B Germantown Avenue in Philadelphia, PA 19140. Sometimes they're a little picky and will not accept it. Now, if you do want to pay digital, you can do it through PayPal or through Zelle. That's what we have. We do not have, we used to have Cash App. We don't have Cash App anymore. So it's through PayPal, paypal.me/HYK12, or through Zelle. And that's the Zelle number 646-620-7378. Again, that's 646-620-7378. All right. So either one of those ways works if you want to make a donation, free will offering, payment for a holy day, tithes, whatever it may be. And again, as we always mention, this is not for any of the brothers that's here. This is for the furtherance of this truth, paying for the rent, the light, the gas, the flyers, the everything pertaining to now the Most High's will being done, and we're just stewards of His will to get the raising of the nation of Israel closer to the end. And for those who want to contact us, I'll forget the number. Give me 1 second. If you want to leave a call or voicemail to the school itself, it's 215-223-8770. Again, that's 215-223-8770. You can call, leave a voicemail message, and then we'll follow up and get back in touch with you. That's the direct line to the school. All right. So with that, before we sign off and do the closing prayers, as always, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, to the Most High power Yahweh, for today's Sabbath service lesson, the wisdom that came out. Most High's will, everyone was able to understand and get all the precepts. Any confusion, any questions on anything, make sure you write it down, precept or verse, and your question, and then bring it to the classes on Tuesday and Friday. All right. So again, shalom to all the brothers and sisters who logged in, dialed in, and participated in fellowship with us during the Sabbath service. Most High's will, we will break bread again in a few hours during the new moon. All right. So with that, I'll say shalom for the time being, for the closing prayers, and stay tuned. Barakatha Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Nathalanawa, Par Yahakapin, Thawada Amun, La Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ath Yasha Allah. Again, English translation. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the vine, the fruit of the vine. Salah. Thank you, so be it, to Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai with Israel. I madra upon you, Jerusalem, stand and face Jerusalem for the closing and ending prayers. Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Ba'ashem,
Ba'ashem,
Yahushai,
Yahushua,
Babakushai,
Babakushai,
Shemai,
Shammai,
Lanawa,
Lanawa,
Aitha,
Aitha,
Yum Yun,
Yum Yum,
Aitha,
Aitha,
Shalat,
Shalat,
Maika Allah,
Ma'ika,
Waha Alahayim,
Alahayim,
Tazwadakim,
Tazwadakim,
La,
La,
Shema Ayel,
Shema Ayel,
Barak,
Barak,
Rapah,
Rapah,
Magun,
Magun,
Wahakaziyat,
Wakaziyah,
Banya,
Banya,
Yasha Allah,
Yashala,
Washalat,
Washalat,
Lanawa,
Lanawa,
Rabium,
Rabium,
Hakama,
Kakama,
Rabium,
Rabium,
Ta'ai,
Ta'ai,
Rabium,
Rabium,
Bayana,
Bayana,
Rabium,
Rabium,
Sabalanwa,
Sabalanwa,
Rabium,
Rabium,
Amawan,
Amawan,
Rabium,
Rabium,
Aqua,
Aqua,
Rabium,
Rabium,
Ahabium,
Ahabium,
Rabium,
Rabium,
Haganah,
Haganah,
Rochanaya,
Rokanai,
Wasalat,
Wasalat,
Ko,
Ko,
Katayamnawa,
Tayamnawa,
Laha Akim,
La'akim,
Wa Akiwa,
Wa'akiwa,
Wayasha Allah,
Wa'yashala,
Thumyad,
Thumyad,
Wa'iwalam,
Wa'iwalam,
Ba'asham,
Ba'asham,
Yahawashai,
Yahawashah,
the water,
Tawada,
Aman.
Aman.
English translation. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, please listen to us now, right now. Send Michael and the righteous powers or angels to watch over, bless, heal, protect, and make strong the children of Israel. And send to us much wisdom, much knowledge, much understanding, much patience, much faith, much brotherhood, much love, much spiritual protection, and forgive all our sins for the brothers and sisters and Israel always and forever. In the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you, so be it. Four Corners Prayer. Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Bahashem,
Ba'ashem,
Yahweh Shai,
Yahushua,
Barak Nawa,
Barak Nawa,
Wayasha Allah,
Wa'yashala,
Wabat Yasaparim,
Bakia Safari,
Shema,
Shema,
Yasharallah,
Yasharallah,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Allahaynawa,
Yahweh,
Yahweh, Akram. English translation. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, bless us and Israel and the house of books or schools and camps. And Deuteronomy 6:4, hear, O Israel, the Lord our power is one power. Again, with that, we share Shah Shabbat, Shalom Yasharallah, and have a blessed remaining Sabbath day. Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.